Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kristelle, and today we're playing a game called End of Lines. Now, if you've not heard of this game before, no worries. This is going to be a very dark, interactive fiction, visual novel style of indie game where you're following a little family and your choices matter in terms of their survival. The setting is supposed to be a climate-induced, apocalyptic style of world, so I'll leave the full content warning list down in the description box just in case if you think you might need it, as well as all my social links, etc. will be down there as well. Now, I believe that this game doesn't actually have any voice acting and that there is a lot of reading, so I'm going to be playing this over the course of a couple of days just to make sure that my voice gets enough rest and such, so if my appearance ends up changing between chapters or anything like that, that's why. So yes, anyways, thank you so much to the devs for gifting me a code to play. As always, of course, don't forget to subscribe and thumbs it up if you're liking it, helps me a lot, but otherwise let's just go and get started. Alright, Nora. But mother, you can't give up. Nora glares at me, her face rigid with anger. I don't answer straight away. I look through the gap between the hanging at the blinding light that strikes the arid ground. Oh, so pretty. I cannot go out before nightfall anymore. If I attempt it, I will founder, struck down by the breath of the shins. I hardly recognize the landscapes of my childhood in this barren wasteland. Our lands have always been arid, but before there were oases and a semblance of peace, journeys were always attended by song. That time is past, long ago. Today, the dance of the burning winds is fiercer and fiercer. I hear it in the senseless rhythm of dissonant in days. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. And I know I have no time for falling into melancholy. Oh, so pretty. I love the art style. I have to explain my decision to my daughter. Matriarch. Okay, so is that us, I guess? We're in the purple. Nora, do you remember the fable, the lion, the panther, the tohori, and the jackal? My question disconcerts her. Her anger abates a little. Yes, mother. Oh, okay, so we get to choose now. So tell me, what lessons do you think you can learn from it today? Sure, let's go with that one. What do you mean? Would you prefer to be in the place of the jackal or the tohori? She frowns. The jackal is tricked from the start to finish. The tohori is much smarter, but I would still prefer to be the lion who takes the largest share. Don't you agree, mother? I prefer the panther. You disappoint me. Oh god, sure, let's just choose the panther. That's the most desirable position, of course. The panther, forgotten by everyone? She may be forgotten, but she does not submit. We have neither the claws nor the fangs of the lion. In any event, power is a curse. Let the others brawl over the scraps. Let us take our small share without fuss and keep ourselves safe. Oh, cute. I beckon her to come and help me up. She comes immediately, and we take a few steps across the worn rugs that cover the floor. Anyway, it's been a very long while since there were any lions or tohoris or jackals. That is true, but I have something else on my mind right now. How old is your son, Nora? He'll be 7 next spring. So many years we've passed, trying to leave this desert. Yes, mother. How many companions have we lost? She looks away. 21. Oh, no. I stroke her hand. I don't show any emotion. Oh, God. Let's be a kinder mother, I feel like. She hides her sorrow, but I know that each one of their names is carved on her heart. We cannot continue like this. Our tribe is no more than an exhausted huddle. We're too slow, and the heat will kill us all in the end. And do you truly believe that staying here will save you? We can certainly survive for a few moons. Your task during that time will be to lead the most stalwart among us to a more welcoming place. But mother, I don't want to leave you. Listen to me, Nora. I've reached the end of my journey, but you haven't. She tries to interrupt, but I raise my hand for silence. You and Rafik, you'll choose from the volunteers. Yeza, Celia, and her brother Amin will certainly go. You'll also take your son and your husband Camille. You will be your guide to find a better land. Camille? Our guide? I allow her a few seconds to digest this information. Yes, Nora, you have all the qualities of a great war chief, but to survive this time needs a panther, not a lion. She nods. I understand, mother. I take her hands. Of course you understand. You didn't choose him by chance after all. Yes, perhaps I've always known. I see. It's like opposites attract sort of thing, I guess. Good. Go and get him. I need to speak to him. Then gather everyone together. I'll announce my decision at nightfall. Oh, so pretty. Nora leaves my tent. I sit back down again to await the coming of the gentle-hearted outlander. He's an intensely just man, and he's also the only one among us who knows the ways into the north. The only one who could navigate amongst the wreckage of this world adrift. A few minutes later, he enters, swathed in the blue robe that Nora made for him. Camille's poise has increased with these last years. The journey suits him. He comes toward me with deference. I suppose Nora has explained why I've summoned you. Yes, she has, matriarch. So, will you agree to guide the company through the remains of this world? His gaze is far away for several seconds. I have no idea what life outside the desert is like now, nor if there's any life left. It's true that we had no contact with the outside for several years. The last we heard, wars and epidemics had struck all the cities. That was more than 10 years ago. There can't be much remaining outside the desert. I fear to find nothing but ruins. He takes a moment to consider. Where should we go, in your opinion? I suggest you return to where you came from. Our lands have become uninhabitable. I'm afraid that mine won't be any better, at least not for much longer. Each year the seasons are hotter and drier. That will have to stop someday. He says nothing but gives a little shrug. Won't it? Well, not necessarily. Explain yourself? I wave away his remark. Yeah, sure, explain yourself. There was a theory when I was young. It was called the Venus theory. What is it? If global warming reaches reaches a certain magnitude, there are multiple tipping points which could lead the planet onto a path where the climate becomes out of control. He pauses, looking for the right words. That's to say that the phenomena triggered by the global warming would continue to add carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and so would keep increasing the warming exponentially, and we could do nothing to stop it. The greenhouse effect would become so strong that it would eventually boil the oceans, making all life impossible. I'm silent, shaken in spite of myself by this apocalyptic vision. They think that's what happened on Venus millions of years ago. Oh, that'd be interesting. The Venus theory. He nods. And you believe we're on the path to the same thing? I don't know. It's a very striking theory, but I think it's quite unlikely. I encourage him to continue. From what I understand, the climate would be more likely to stabilize once the carbon emissions had ceased. And in fact, I believe that's where we are now. So you're optimistic? Not really, because even if we concede that life on Earth is not in danger, the climate stabilization will take time, and I don't know what will remain of the human race after the next century. No matter what, life becomes impossible here. But other inhabitable places must still exist. I refuse to believe that the 21st century will signal the end of humanity. Alright, I'm gonna be kind of like moving around as we go because it seems like there's not really a good place for me to sit still. It is pretty unlikely. Saying that, there's still a decade before the 22nd century. Perhaps we've still got some surprises ahead of us. Whatever the case, it's time to see what we can do to adapt to this new world. As you say, we've reached the end of a cycle. One story finishes, another begins. A story that's for you to write now. In End of Lines, certain situations can lead to a change of narrator. The sum of your decisions can influence the identity of the next narrator. Most of the choices offered to you favor one of the following archetypes. Oh, this is so cool. Here, I'll tuck in the corner. The lion favors the direct approach and confrontation, seeks to arm themselves and strikes first, is suspicious of others, always expects the worst, and is ruthless. Oh, okay. The panther avoids confrontation, prefers to flee danger, displays doubt, doesn't like to stay in one place, sacrifices themselves for others. Oh, I wonder if that's foreshadowing or not. And the last one, the Tahori, seeks out social interaction, eagerly accumulates wealth, strives to establish exchanges, will manipulate others, prefers the sedentary lifestyle. Okay, so staying in one place. So we've obviously already met the daughter, and then I assume the middle is Camille because of the blue, but we haven't met whoever the Tahori is supposed to be, so that's very curious. Choose wisely. Oh, this is so pretty. It will soon be a year since we left the clan and the matriarch behind us. It feels like an eternity. We've crossed lands and seas until we're worn to the bone. Now that we've stopped walking, it's oddly silent. There's no sound but the wind and the crunch of the grains of sand between our teeth. The sky is red, or is it? It's so hot that it feels red. When did it stop being blue? And there's this mound of stone, religious relic probably. The ancient road that I guide our little company along used to be traveled by pilgrims, but today I have no use for religions and gods. The only thing that matters to me is our survival, especially that of Sam, the only child in our company. My child. So are we as Camille narrating right now then? I checked the map entrusted to me by a poor woman a few weeks ago. She said that this was the only road that we could still take. This road should take us north to a more welcoming place, toward the land where I was born and that I left more than 20 years ago. I don't know much how it has altered. Everything has changed so fast. I hope that we'll find a place fit to live, where we can settle in peace. Oh, okay. Rafik breaks the silence with several groans as he unburdens himself of his pack. He allows himself a mouthful of water and grumbles under his breath before turning to me. Okay, so I guess Rafik was the one in the green. I'm dead. Yes, we're all worn out. Rafik gives a small smile. I don't know. Nora doesn't seem to be suffering too much. He jerks his chin at Nora, who I had agreed to marry over 10 years ago. I smile back. Nora never seems to be suffering too much. You're forgetting the day she gave birth to your offspring. Laugh escapes me. I've forgotten nothing. That was precisely the day when I realized that she was stronger than you'll ever be, Rafik. Oh, I like their relationship. It's cute. Sure, that's right. And in the meantime, it's me who's lugging the equivalent of her weight around on my back. I roll my eyes. Do you get sick of complaining? Never. We should have exchanged you for a meal when we had the chance. Damn. Rafik laughs. That would have been one of your rare rational decisions. My decisions are always perfectly rational. If that was the case, you'd have decided to marry me. Oh my god. Now it's my turn to laugh. Oh, I ship it. I ship it already. You're not in Nora's league and you know it. Would you have accepted? Let's go with the second one. I want to see where this goes. Of course not. What am I supposed to do with a shrimp like you? And anyway, you're right. right, nor is the strongest of us all, shall bury us all. His words pull me back to the harsh reality of our quest. The good humor has passed like a too light breeze. No, not all, not Sam. He grips my shoulders kindly and answers with a solemn face, as though making me a promise. No, not Sam, of course. Right, Sam was the kid. Oh, so nice. We join the others to set up the camp. I head towards Anaya and Sony to help them get settled in. The couple had recently joined us. They'd been trying to survive as best as they could in the ruins on the edge of the big city. They were fortunate to meet us. We avoid going near cities in general. Oh, sorry, I'm kind of blocking a little bit, huh? These days, violence and sickness hold sway there. Oh my god, now I gotta go back up. Sorry, I don't know where I can go for this. The path we're following crosses small villages instead, long deserted. Anaya and Sony wanted to join us. Our life of traveling is hard, but I know that it's the only course. The droughts and the heat waves which forced us to leave our lands have continued to hit more and more regions. Those rare places where it's still possible to subsist will inevitably disappear. Everywhere we go, there's no other choice but to leave. Goodness gracious, I am going to be jumping all over the map. Since I couldn't abandon the couple to a certain death, I agreed that they could come with us. They're still young, but have been courageous and grateful so far. They're gentle, considerate people. Sometimes I get the feeling they're too fragile for this existence. I feel like that would be me in a post-apocalyptic sort of world. Like, you know how some people think that they would survive, or certainly would survive? I feel like I would crumble under the pressure immediately. Like, I can barely handle the world while it's not apocalyptic. Okay, Sam comes over to cling my legs as I cover our tent to protect us from the heat. I ruffle his hair with affection. Oh, he's so small. Can I drink? Of course. I give him my flask. We're not going to die of thirst, right? Good question. No, we've still got reserves. Since we're going to cross an old river, there'll be some water for sure. Come here, I'll show you. I put him on my knee and show him the map. Oh, I see. It's a worn old paper, scattered with lettering in a language I don't understand, but the lines that cross its surface are still readable. You can still even see some landmarks. Some I think are recognized, like the mound of stones that used to shelter a religious symbol that we're camping near today. Sometimes the lands separate and meet, branching, decisions we will soon have to make. We trace the fragile lines with our fingertips as they fade and reappear across the tears and creases of the map. Sam's small hand and mine discover the possible futures and the tracks that await us. Will they be strewn with pitfalls or pleasant surprises? Probably a bit of both. Whatever the case, these lines will guide us towards a hope of a more welcoming land. We cling to that hope, but in truth, we have no idea what we'll find there at the end of the map, where the lines end. Okay, so I guess that whole thing was the prologue then. Chapter 1, Wake Up. Oh my. Jesus. The noonday sun has shortened the shadows. Toward the horizon, the dazzling, relentless glare draws salt and water to my eyes. I try to swallow. My throat is like sandpaper. The water is precious. There's not enough. All of a sudden, I think of my father, of his life, of before. Did he know? Very different setting. He leans against the bar as usual. On the bar, a double espresso in a disposable cup. Did he know the price to be paid for a few drops of bitter petrol black liquid? As I come through the glass door, he absently swallows another mouthful of coffee. He seems suddenly preoccupied by a tiny stain on the cuff of his new shirt, impeccably ironed, made in some country at the end of the planet. My throat is dry. There's not enough water. Did he know what awaited us? I'm assailed by a wave of disgust, of anger. I go to the bar, ready to blow. I wait a few seconds on the threshold, trying to calm myself. Oh. I feel like for Camille, he would have waited. He seems relatively calm. It's him who sees me, who recognizes me. He raises his eyes from his shirt cuff and his gaze meets mine. He smiles at me, a smile bursting with paternal love, unshakable. I lean on the bar next to him. I don't know what to say. I don't know where to begin. What are you doing? For a moment, he doesn't understand. You see, I'm having a coffee. He shows me his cup. I don't know if I should read amusement or condescension in the calm, patient voice he uses. This is the day you were born. I'm gonna get a call from your mother soon. Okay, so there's maybe, I guess, some sort of time hopping / flashback sort of thing, I suppose. Without thinking, he pulls his smartphone from his jacket and places it gently on the bar, as if it were the most precious thing he possessed. I'm a little surprised. For as long as I can recall, my father never owned a smartphone. The phone vibrates furtively, as if it felt that we were looking at it. My father automatically looks down at the screen. Aren't you answering that? Shouldn't you be at work or with mom? Oh, sure, yeah, actually, let's go with that one. Actually, I was in a meeting with a client. I just finished. Since I'm a little early, I allowed myself a quick coffee before going back. He throws a furtive glance at his phone. Saying that, the telephone's gonna ring soon to give me the news, and I can promise you they won't be seeing me again soon. Oh. I intend to make the most of my paternity leave, although I didn't really want a child that much. But Camille, Camille, my angel, now that you're here, I have no regrets. I'd make the same mistakes over again, just to be able to see you live and grow again. Oh, that's quite nice. He puts his hand gently on my shoulder. Procreation is nothing but animal instinct. Okay, Camille. Okay, weird vibes, but alright. The words come out of my mouth sharper than I intended. My anger is undiminished. He lets his hand drop limply. We look at each other in silence for a few moments, and at the instant he opens his mouth to answer me, the smartphone vibrates again, but with more authority this time. Hell, it's the battery. This thing discharges faster and faster. It's a real problem. In my turn, I put my hand on his shoulder and shake him softly. Dad, we're dying. We're dying of hunger and thirst. Your children, your grandchildren. We look each other deep in the eyes. Camille, I'm sorry. Forgive me. He gives me a small, resigned smile, finishes his coffee in one swallow and replaces the cup on its saucer. I notice the sugar lump, still wrapped in gaudy paper. I glance over all these blind people. Invisible. What? Transparent. Suddenly, I realize that my father, with his suit, his coffee, his superficial concerns, is part of the crowd. I mean, it's obviously like a different time though. You can't really judge it based off of that. Like, I kind of understand the message, I guess, that it's trying to send, but like if you're in a post-apocalyptic sort of world, then obviously, yeah, the setting and needs and problems are going to be completely different. I don't know, it feels a little preachy, I guess, in some ways. I don't know, a little bit odd the way it reads, I guess. I sweep my eyes over the room again. I try to put myself in the place of these people who truly don't understand what could be so absurd about sipping a coffee in a bar as the planet becomes slowly and inexorably inhospitable. Sorry, I don't know what that word means, but I get the premise. Yeah, I guess exactly what I said, right? But from his point of view, I don't have the strength or the wish to get angry. I know that many of them did what they could, did their best, just like my father. I tell myself that maybe if they'd started trying to change things sooner, they'd have a chance of success. Oh my. I turn to my father. Dad, wake up. Wake up. Oh. Hand on my shoulder, firm but gentle. She shakes me softly. I open my eyes. Nora leans over me, her face silhouetted against the red light. Camille, it's time. I sit up warily. It's well into the afternoon. It'll soon be time to break camp. Nora is already up again, her back turned to me. I take Nora in my arms. I decide not to lose a moment. Oh, let's take a moment to hold her. Oh, it's so cute. It's a simple joy, but one that could be too easy to forget. We remained entwined for a few instants. Then, slowly, reluctantly, we separate. Oh my god. Sorry, I'm having to bounce all over the place. She will go to wake the rest of the company while I assemble our meager possessions. There's not much to assemble. A few worn bags, some basic tools, knife, mallet, ropes, stakes, our tent, and our precious flask, soon empty. I emerge from the tent and go to join Sam beneath the burning late afternoon sun. His gaze is far away. I give all the water I have left to see the world through his eyes, even just for a few moments, to see how different it is to the one I see. He seems so calm, peacefully seated in a nest of motley, worn fabrics. His little shape, silhouetted against the vermilion sky, wavers placidly like a fragile promise. Our eyes meet and a pure, fleeting joy lights up his face. I brush my hand through his hair. He stands up, stretches, and rests his head against my chest, all the time watching the horizon. Do we leave today? Yes, my angel. We have to leave. I'm sorry. Forgive me. In End of Lines, you'll have to organize several camps for your company of travelers. Oh. I see. Okay, so Camp Leon. Anaya has dipped into our provisions to make a hot meal for the company. At the beginning of each camp, the company uses their resources to feed themselves. The narrator then takes a stock of the resources according to how many characters in the company. Our resources are shrinking, but we still have enough to hold out. Currently, the resources and the number of people in the company are balanced. That's good. If your resources are too scarce, some of the members of the group may leave the company. Oh, interesting. Okay. I suggest an expedition to explore the surroundings, giving it like it's a choice, but there's no other option, so I guess we'll do that. The narrator tells you which characters are exhausted and cannot participate in the expedition. Oh, I see, it's just as an example. Anaya and Sam are exhausted. You must then choose which members of the group you will send on the expedition. The characters that you choose will have to rest and cannot participate in an expedition at the next camp. Okay. Warning, a character may be tired for various reasons, even if they have not been on the last expedition. Okay, so you can send Rafik, Son, Nora, or go myself. Oh god, I don't know. I quite liked Rafik, and Nora is growing on me. I still don't really know who Son is, but honestly, I feel like we should go ourselves, just for the first time, you know? So let's go ourselves. You can now add other people to the expedition, or confirm the group as is and launch the expedition. Okay, so you can choose to go with people, or you can claim it as complete. It's so risky because if anything ends up going wrong, then you're kind of dragging them down with you. But also then maybe you will end up dying if you don't have help. I kind of of want to send Rafik if Camille's going, because I quite liked their little back and forth and I kind of want to see where their relationship sort of goes. But I'm also not sure if the narration and the story follows the scavenging team or if it will follow the people at the camp. Okay, so then maybe I'll take Soanne with me because we don't really know who they are yet, and if it does follow the narrating group we can meet them, and if it doesn't then we get to spend time with Rafik, and I like that plan. Oh, you can actually bring all of them. Okay, well I feel like we should leave some people because otherwise then everyone's going to be way too tired to scavenge again the next day. So let's call it complete. The number of people sent and their state of fatigue determines the amount of resources gathered during the expedition. Yeah, that makes sense. The expedition finds the riverbed, but it's dry. Its course has been deviated to an old irrigation tank, which does still contain a little water. Nice. Okay, so I guess it just kind of follows it like this and we don't actually get to see it then. The team filters and boils the reclaimed water. Nice. The resources which have been collected are added to your provisions. Be aware that certain situations and decisions will not be available to you if the balance between your resources and the number of travelers is unfavorable. A few minutes later, everything is packed up. We're ready to leave. The horizon shimmers with vivid shifting colors from the sinking sun. I contemplate the spectacle, as magnificent as it is strange, searching for some clue that will allow me to predict the weather that awaits us in the next few hours. The wind has fallen, but this lull may be deceptive. I look over our small company. If one thing is sure, it's that we're all travel weary. Anaya and Soane, is it Soane or Soanne? I don't know, I apologize. In particular, who seem at the end of their strength. They're not used to the forced marches yet. That will come. They don't lack courage. Yeah, they probably just need some practice. In the meantime, I could offer to share some of the weight of their packs among the other travelers. Even Rafik, who carries the heaviest load, looks exhausted. Probably because he's carrying the heaviest load. We haven't eaten for several days, and it's getting harder and harder to find water. He also seems to be surveying the land in quest of information on what is coming. His experience is always welcome. Perhaps he's noticed a detail that's escaped me. Sam and Noah are chatting. They're still the most unwavering of the company. Nora never seems to suffer, not from hunger nor fatigue. Yeah, but just because they don't seem to be suffering doesn't mean that they're not. And tactily, I don't know what that word means, sorry. We all do what we can so that Sam is fed in priority. Yeah, because Sam is a child. Okay, I think I'm gonna go over to Anaya and Soane. I don't know for sure if I'll be able to talk to absolutely everybody, but I feel like because they're newer and wary, then we should kind of help them get comfortable, I suppose. Oh, so cool. Yeah, and it's also because like we haven't been able to actually see and meet and talk to them yet. Obviously Camille has, but I just kind of wanted to see who else we're traveling with as well. They're preparing to shoulder their bulky backpacks and I signaled them to wait. They watch me patiently despite their exhaustion. I usually speak to Anaya because her French is quite good. Someone speaks Spanish better, but I'm not very comfortable with that language. I kind of wonder then if we've been talking in French the entire time. That's obviously just translated for us, but like that in-game, like in character, I guess, that it's been in French. Not that it really matters, it's just kind of curious. I'm sorry, we'll take a longer break as soon as possible. Okay, thanks for everything you're doing, Camille. We'd probably already be dead without your help. Perhaps, perhaps not. I settle for a shrug of my shoulders. We're going to relieve you of some of your load and share it out among the others for today. I can tell Soane wants to object, but he reconsiders. Anaya is already undoing her pack. I'll help you. Alright, interesting. So he doesn't really say much, at least not yet. The others join us. I try to share the load as fairly as possible. Rafik groans a little for the look of things, but I know he's far from reaching his limits. Oh, so pretty. When we finished, I lead our departure. The sky is clear, but I fear that the wind might lift suddenly, as it did yesterday. If that's the case, we'll have nowhere to shelter on this dry, rocky trail. We could opt for a detour to the south, which would allow us to find the asphalt road. We'd have more of a chance of finding shelter going that way. On the other hand, the weather might be clement. It's hard to tell. I don't know what that means. I decide to keep going straight on or go by the road. Oh no, I don't know. I feel like maybe we should go for the detour. I hope that's the right choice. After a glance behind me to check everyone is ready, I guide the company towards the south. We've been walking for several hours when the wind picks up. Our progress quickly becomes difficult. We're forced to protect our faces from the dust, which stings our cheeks and blinds us. With the sun beginning to set, it's going to get more and more difficult to stay on the course. I hope it doesn't last too long, but there's nothing to suggest that it won't get any worse. On the contrary. I turn back to the convoy, and I is sheltering behind Soane, who himself is having trouble staying upright. They won't get much further at this pace. Did I pick the wrong thing? Oh, I don't regret taking the southern route. Okay, that's good at least. The old road is in bad condition, and we'll have to repair our shoes as soon as possible, but I can already make out the ruins of former dwellings. That's great. If the storm really picks up, we'll have shelter. This country isn't as welcoming as we'd hoped, but it's still better than where we've come from. Yet, in the first days, when we finally landed after all the sacrifices we'd had to make to get here, we regained a whisper of hope not so long ago. Oh, a very different setting now. I remember we'd been skirting the coast for several days. Okay, so maybe this is a memory or flashback. The crossing had been a nightmare we'd prefer to forget. We'd been prepared for demanding times, but none of us expected to have overcome such such an ordeal. When we finally landed, we were no longer a tribe nor a company, just 4 survivors. I talked to Sam a lot. I made up stories. I wanted to protect him as much as possible from the relentless violence of this world, but I believe that mainly it was him who helped me. If it hadn't been for him, I'd have given up long ago. Nora, Rafik, Sam and I, we wandered along the devastated beaches. The ocean had invaded the old coastal villages. Considering the amount of destruction, it hadn't happened gently. Impossible to tell if it was a result of a single devastating tsunami or of successive storms, but only ruins remained. Everything had led us to believe it wasn't over yet. The sea was calm on our arrival, but the bleak deserted scenes that we crossed prompted us to be careful. Most surprising were the crabs. Were those there before? I feel like I don't remember them being there, but maybe I saw them and just thought that they were rocks or something. Oh, I don't know. The beaches were covered. Everywhere they teemed over the ruins of the flooded buildings. Sometimes we'd be hypnotized by inanimate objects. In the distance, their shapes seemed to distort with frenetic, grotesque gasping. Oh, this is pretty though. One day, suddenly the clouds spread apart and a pale blue sky appeared. I remember it as if it was once more before my eyes. The colors that until then had seemed missing from the coastal landscape begin to glitter. Sam takes my hand and points at a crab-covered rock nearby. Look, they're blue. And yes, in the sun, the crabs are a radiant cyan blue, the shades of green on the shell, and their pincers ranging from orange to scarlet depending on the specimen. For a long while, we marveled at the beauty of the scene. Hey, do you know why there's so many? It's hard to say. At some point, these crabs must have found themselves without predators. That must be why they've been able to reproduce so much. I'd guess maybe it's linked to the disappearance of the birds. I don't add that they're probably a species of scavengers. Anyway, we know what we're having for dinner. Are we stopping soon? A little bit further on, I can make out the shimmer of the whitened walls of the half-submerged village. Yes, do you see where the ruins are over there? Sam nods. We'll walk as far as there, and then we can take a break, okay? Oh, very cool. You can see them on the roof there. As we first passed the wave-beaten, salt-eaten stones of the town, we're surprised to see human figures on some of the roofs. I thought that that was us on this roof. Oh, actually, yeah, you can see them. Hold on, I'm kind of blocking it, but like on the left ones there as well, there's some. So I guess maybe there's still people that are living here then. Humans. Alive. I count about 10 at most. They watch us, unmoving. They don't seem aggressive, but still, we remain on our guard. As we get closer, I realize that it's difficult to identify them. Figures are bundled up in shapeless rags. Their age is unclear. Is that a child or an old woman I can see there? Perhaps a small boy? It's impossible to tell. It's even more troubling when we notice that they're moving away from us as we move forward, so that they maintain a distance which doesn't allow us to glimpse their eyes. Just the eerie shadows of hollowed sockets. Ugh, that's creepy. Why are they backing away? I think they're afraid of us? Maybe it's a trap. Ooh, I don't know if that would be a trap or not. I feel like they would probably be afraid of you. Let's go with the first one because I don't want to scare the kid. But why don't they run away then? Maybe they're afraid but curious too. Okay. Or they're waiting for the right moment to pounce on us. She's not wrong. That thought has crossed my mind too. Nora smiles. Ha, let them come though. We'll introduce them to Rafik. Cute. She jerks her thumb at our imposing companion. Rafik's lost much of his magnificence during the crossing, but despite everything, his form remains impressive. Maybe too impressive actually. Hey yo. Yeah, under his gruff exterior, Rafik always has been good with people. He's got a knack for quickly gaining people's trust, and his imposing build makes him rather reassuring. Okay, so we've got a couple choices now. Oh god, I'm scared of making a choice here. Stay here, I'm going alone. Rafik, do you want to go and talk to them? We should ignore them and stay together. Oh god, I don't know. The fact that they're backing away just enough that you can't see them very clearly makes me a little bit worried, and we're quite outnumbered as well, and I don't want Rafik to get in trouble or like injured or something. I think I'm gonna go in alone. I don't really know what to choose because yeah, okay, maybe Rafik is really friendly once you get to know him, but if he already seems imposing and if they are actually scared, there is nothing more dangerous than a frightened human, especially a group of humans that clearly don't really want us to be able to see them very well. But also maybe they're just like timid scared and maybe we could help each other, so maybe we should go in. I don't know, I feel like ignoring them and staying together seems to be the most safe option, but I also just feel like maybe it's not that safe because then if we don't keep track of them either, then it still kind of is like a little bit of a threat. I think I'm gonna go in alone. I feel like I gotta know. Stay here, I'm going in alone. I want to get to the bottom of this. I put my back down and hand my walking stick to Sam. Oh, very cool. Yeah, you can see them on the roofs all the way up here, and then there's some over here as well. Just relieved of any threatening objects, I advance with slow steps steps, my arms raised, hands open, in what I hope is a universal sign of peace. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking as well, especially because if they're watching us and they see us put our stuff down and like come in by ourselves, then it should, at least in theory, come off as non-threatening. I choose a small group and head towards them. I'm relieved to see they don't flee at my approach. Nice, good. I can finally make out their eyes. 2 women and a young man. All 3 are very thin. One of the women is missing an eye. I stop at what I think is an acceptable distance and I cover my lower face. I'm wary of disease. I didn't even think about that. I try a hello, then an hola. All 3 watch me for a while without answering. Okay, so then maybe Camille speaks both French, English, and Spanish. Maybe that's also what's most common in this area. All 3 watch me for a while without answering. Oh, it's so cool that you can see them all up close now. Finally, after pulling a scarf up over her nose and mouth, a woman approaches me. She puts her hand almost on my arm and she loses what seems to me to be an interminable tirade. I don't know what that means. It's certainly Spanish, but she speaks much too fast and I haven't understood a single word she said. Oh, okay, like a tirade of words. I wasn't sure, like she was like handing us something or what. Okay. Seeing my puzzled face, she makes some more obvious gestures and speaks a little slower. She asks if I can give them food, a gesture that I have nothing to share. Then all 3 lose interest in me and move away with dragging feet, cursing under their breath. Very interesting behavior. Okay. So then I wonder if the crabs nearby would also be diseased, because obviously it seems like there's some here as well. So like why wouldn't they be eating those unless there's something wrong with them? I signal my companions to join me. How did it go? I'm not sure, but they seem to want us to leave in peace. Nora looks around us. I follow her gaze. She stares at the church bell tower that just emerges from the water. There's gotta be stuff to salvage down there. Some gear at least. Down there? Swimming, you mean? Yes, but not me. Rafik smirks at me. That's a brilliant idea. Camille, you're not going to miss out on such a great chance to show us your swimming skills, are you? I shrug. Sam's hopping with glee. It's the first time he's shown such strong emotion since the crossing. Oh, that's a good sign. It's been impossible to get more than a few words out of him and even less a smile in these last few days. Seeing his eyes sparkle again, I can't help feeling a bit relieved. Okay, worth a try? Wouldn't it be better to rest? Oh, let's give it a go. Okay, it's worth a try. Let's start by finding a good place to dive from. Oh, it's so cute. Okay. We set up on a roof edge. The water looks clear at the surface, but it's impossible to see the bottom. I've just got into the water when the woman who spoke to me earlier joins us. She gives me an old diving mask, which I have trouble adjusting to my face. Oh, that's so sweet. Because she doesn't have to do that. That's so nice. Then she graces us with a few terse instructions, which no one understands. Yeah, I do feel like that sometimes. Still, I believe I've deciphered which directions should be avoided. Oh, okay. So maybe there's something under the water as well. We thank her warmly and she leaves us. Oh, so cool. I begin my exploration. This is beautiful. The mask may not be spanking new, but I immediately realized that without this equipment, it would have been much more complicated. The currents that gush between the buildings are unpredictable, and the light is very dim as I reach the bottom. The water is full of sand, an unidentifiable floating object attacked by the salt and plankton. I've got enough visibility to make out the surreal backdrop of a paved undersea road. Wrecks of vehicles remaining there have transformed into arthropod shelters. I'm reminded of a time when the seaside resorts were packed with noisy tourists. The bottom is more than 4 meters down, but I don't need to go that far. I try a few openings, windows and doors, trying to find a promising spot. I surface to get some air after each attempt. Finally, I set my sights on what looks like an old mini market. I go back to tell the others. Oh, so cute. Nori and Sam are waiting for me at the surface. The white-haired woman watches us carefully from a short distance away. We should move a few blocks over to the west. I think there's something interesting, but we'll have to swim, at least to the roof over there. Alright, but Rafik's gone to look around. I think he's negotiating something with the locals. Oh, cool. I should stay here with the bags. Okay, fine. Me, I want to come. Alright, but you'll have to swim, buddy. Hesitation crosses his face in a fleeting flash. Oh, so tiny. The ocean made him suffer so much during the crossing that this would be a good opportunity to reconcile them. I stop myself from bursting with joy when he jumps into the water to join me, swimming clumsily. Not bad for a child of the desert, but at that speed we won't get there before tomorrow. It's hard. There's waves. There are. Grab on here. Keep your head out of the water. Nora throws us a net. Don't forget that, to bring back your plunder. Oh, that's smart actually. I didn't even think about that. With Sam clinging to my back across the 50 meters which separate us from the closest roof, I get my breath back. Then we set up a few dozen meters further on the ruins of a stone tower clearly dating from medieval times. times. Ooh, cool. The structure scarcely emerges above the water. Sometimes a wave submerges it almost completely. It should be alright for Sam. I'm so worried about Sam, or just Camille as well, being pulled under with the current though. The mini market is just underneath. What's a mini market? It's kind of a little supermarket. A supermarket? A place where you find a merchant who sells a bit of everything, you know? Oh, okay. A super merchant. Yeah, that's it. Right, I'm going. Be careful and mind you don't get nipped. A few big crabs are roaming over the old stones. Their scarlet pincers are formidable. I check our position with a short dive, then I take a few minutes to ready myself. Inhale, exhale. The bottom is more than 5 meters deep here. If I manage to hold on 2 minutes struggling against the currents, I'll be doing well. I'll have to progress in stages. I do a few dives to scout things out. I save some time on the descent by guiding myself down the tower wall. I quickly spot a few interesting objects. I'm gonna bring you some things, Sam. Be ready. Okay, I'm ready. How do you get yourself pointing down when you go down? At the start, we call that a duck dive. It's a movement to go head down without using too much energy. It looks like how ducks dive. He looks at me with round eyes. I realize he's never seen a duck. Oh my god. It's a bird that swims on the water. Oh yes. Do you think there is some left somewhere? Yes, I'm sure. The migrant birds were the first to suffer from the brutality of the climate change, but even the non-domestic ducks weren't really wild anymore in the lands where I lived. So I wonder then if Sam was born after everything happened, or I guess just like shortly beforehand? I don't know. Because it kind of seems like this is all he's really known, perhaps. They'd usually migrate from one protected nature reserve to another, once or twice a year. Then, one year, there was an uncontrollable virus. To stop it spreading, they killed all the ducks. The ones left are far away? Yes, pretty far. The haul is good. I bring up a good quantity of canned foods that I hope is still edible, especially the fruits, which we sorely lack. I also find some nylon and polyester equipment which we could use. Tents, parkas, waterproof capes, and shoes. That's great. Last, I even find a watertight first aid kit, almost complete. It's a great find. Sam clings to my neck as we set off in the chaotic currents to rejoin the group. Ah, Rafik is back. Nice. The ebbing tide doesn't make the task easier, but by grasping the walls of the buildings, I manage to progress little by little. I'm not displeased when Rafik pulls Sam, our well-filled net, and me onto dry land. After detaching several blue crabs from my clothes, I slowly get my breath back under the end of afternoon sun. Rafik himself seems to be dancing with impatience. I ask him why. I got to know the locals while you were playing at Frogman. They're impressed by your fishing. They're open to some trading. Something tells me they'll give us crab. Even though I'm not completely reassured, we don't really have any choice. We're starving. And I know Rafik's nobody's fool. Okay, but couldn't we just get our own crabs? Because they were everywhere, weren't they? Oh my goodness. A wave of hot air laden with sand slaps me in the face and recalls me to reality, dragging me from my memories. Oh yeah, we were in a memory this whole time. I totally forgot. The wind's so strong now, we're forced to shout to hear each other. I'm ready to point to the first adequate shelter. Once again, luck seems to smile on us when I glimpse, through the waves of dust, the outline of a long building, an old hangar or a warehouse. I signal the company and we hurry towards the building. We circle the building until we find a way in. The structure must be at least 15 meters long by 7 or 8 wide. The huge silos that backed into it have long since collapsed. The main door is sealed, but we find a side entrance which Rafik manages to force with a few big knocks from his shoulder. Contrast once inside is striking. Even the clatter of the debris of the metal roof seems gentle to us in comparison to the roar of the storm. Oh, nice and safe and sound. Cool. What a good decision. I'm glad that we didn't go the other route. And Aya and Son collapse on the floor as soon as they're through the door. Rafik, do you remember the crabs? A grin sneaks across his face. Yeah, that was a good laugh. The crabs? Naya and Son have got their breath back. They sit on the ground, their backs against a wall. It was a while before we met you. We were still on the coast. Rafik managed to get us invited to supper by the survivors of a flooded village. Oh, it's so cozy. We were told that the coast was dangerous. Yes, they couldn't stay there much longer. The ocean is gonna keep rising. In any case, their resources are very limited. Those people had almost nothing, but that didn't stop them from sharing everything they did have with us. We were very lucky considering the circumstances. Yeah, that is very lucky. Still, it was a long time since you danced, Nora. Ooh, I was surprised you didn't dance. Yeah, let's get her to dance. That sounds nice. We can thank them for giving us that moment to be carefree. Mommy's a great dancer. Yeah, and after Nora's dance, they had given us their mothers? What does that mean? They had musical instruments and wine. That helps. And the soup was good too. Good soup. Did they have fresh water? They developed a rudimentary filtration system. I used our resources to improve it. I did what I could to help them. Isn't that kind of the same thing though? I guess just like helping them with what they have versus using our own stuff. I feel like with how generous they were, then we would probably use our own resources to help as well, no? Let's go with that. I even left them most of our fabric stock. I hope it will help them keep their system working a bit longer. What they did have lots of was crabs. Oh yes, the crabs. We even tried to bring some of the live ones in a bucket of water. Yeah, well, that wasn't a great idea. They didn't last long, the poor things. Yeah, that was a heartbreaker. They'd even tried to dig through the bottom of the bucket to find some cool. That's right, yes, poor creatures. You really had to eat them to alleviate their suffering, didn't you? You didn't exactly refuse to eat them either, if I remember right. In any case, that was all thanks to you, Rafik. It was risky, we were lucky. Nur and Rafik continued to joke, but I only listened with half an ear. Oh, I was gonna pick the first option, but then now that we've got this one, I'm a little bit worried that if I don't pick this one that we're gonna miss something. So let's go ahead and use the last one. The story about digging for coal has given me an idea. I examined the building floor with renewed interest. After a moment, I discern a kind of groove in the ground after clearing away a thick layer of dust and rubble. I discover a crudely forged, bolted metal plate, complete with 2 handles. Rafik joins me. Well spotted, Camille. We glance at each other and take position, one each side of the hatch. Whoa, cool. On 3, the plate is unwieldy, but we manage to lift it just enough to slide it over and clear the opening. The first thing we find is a thick layer of straw, clearly very old. A strange smell immediately assails my nostrils. Oh no. I gesture Rafik to back away. What is that? Cereal? Wheat maybe? I sniff again. We should ventilate. Help me. Not me thinking that it was gonna be like a dead body or something down there. I don't know. Maybe they're just smelling the wheat? Beneath the curious gaze of my companions, I climb onto Rafik's shoulders to reach a little window high up. After several bangs on the lintel, it finally yields, letting the sand and burning air rush in and almost making me lose my balance. Yeah, that's like, why would you want to open it in this scenario? Like, isn't that why we're hiding in here? The scream of the wind and the deafening thunder of the sand on the sheet metal fills our shelter, but I'd rather that than asphyxiate. Oh, so is there some sort of thing with wheat that would cause that? I don't actually know then. Once the room has been aired, I go back to a handful of grains to examine more closely. Did you find wheat? Is it still good? It looks more like barley, in fact. It seems fine. I look at the grains in the palm of my hand. It's hard not to be moved by the beauty of these precious, fragile little pearls. They stored them underground? I nod. It's a very old method, not well known and hard to implement, but I've heard that you could preserve cereals for decades this way. Saying that, I think it would be better to wait a few hours for the gas to escape before checking if it's edible. I'm so curious as to why or how that would create gas. I mean, I'm sure it's a thing and I'm just like completely unaware. I hadn't heard of that before. I probably would have immediately died in this scenario. Inaya and Song speak to each other in low voices. Rafik's already looking for fuel to make a fire and Nora's begun to set up the camp. Camp Sandstorm. Alright, we've set up our makeshift camp out of the wind. Inaya and Son are talking in low voices. Sam's woken up on top form, thrilled by our discovery. He can't keep still. Rafik and Nora are collecting fuel to make a fire. As at every camp, I share out our rations as fairly as possible before checking our stocks of food, water, and materials. We need to ration our reserves. It won't be sustainable much longer. I suggest an expedition to explore the surroundings. Suggest we stay in the shelter and regain our strength for now. Oh god. Okay, I think this time, because we've already just spent so much time and energy traveling, that everyone's gonna be exhausted, plus there's literally a storm outside, so I don't think that going on an expedition right now would be very smart. So let's go ahead and rest for this time. We prepare the camp for the night. I tell myself that it's time to have a talk with Inaya and Son. Their hushed discussions haven't ceased since we found the cache of barley. Oh, so maybe they're thinking about yoinking that and leaving. I've got some idea what their deliberations concern, even if I haven't got involved up till now. Alright, so on to day 2 and chapter 2, Mi falta las estrellas. In the early hours, I'm up before the others. The storm is past, the wind is still blowing, but there's no more gale. Son is still sleeping, but Inaya has just woken up. I'm telling myself I should wait until they're both there before I talk to them when she approaches me. I decide not to beat around the bush and get straight to the point, or I begin the conversation calmly. Let's start it calmly, I think. She just woke up. Good morning, Inaya. Did you sleep well? Yes, thank you. Did you want to say something to me? Actually, yes. We sit down among the bags near the still warm embers of last night's fire. Look, Camille. Son and I talked a lot yesterday. There's grain here and a little water. Maybe we could even grow something. We thought we could stay here a while. I don't answer right away. I'm lost in the memory of the events that led to our first meeting with the young couple. It's a few weeks now since it happened. I can see the scene now. The smell, the heat. The stones in the asphalt are so hot they make the world writhe. The air is distorted in ripples, like a lurid dance that sometimes gives the enticing illusion that the surfaces are damp, but they're not. Everything is of course completely dry. Sooty ashes float in the foul-smelling air and the sky is murky, as though masked by a thick coat of fog in shifting colors. Our route leads us to the outskirts of some big city I don't know the name of. I know it's a big risk. At any moment, a group of looters could choose to target us, but we have no choice. We critically need water and food to continue our journey. Rural areas have proved to be deserted, burned, long abandoned. So we cautiously move through the suburbs of the old city, the stench of burning smoke all around us. For the time being, we haven't encountered anyone, but several clues lead us to think that the area is still occupied. Or at least it was, not long ago, judging from the underlying stench of putrefaction. I signal a stop to our small group. Rafik, Nora, and and Sam come closer and we speak in hushed voices. We shouldn't hang around here. Sam huddles against his mother. You alright, buddy? He nods, but I can see that he's ill at ease. Since we got near the city, Sam's been very nervous. I stroke his cheek fondly. Can we leave? Yes, don't worry. We'll leave soon. Nora frowns. I don't think we'll find anything here. We need to go further in. Yeah, my companions are right, but I'm not sure I know what to do next. Oh, okay, so I'll scout it out. What would be least risky, Nora? I feel like it might be nice to ask for her advice, but I'm also scared that she'll go with us, and then what if something bad happens, you know? Okay, whatever. Let's ask for her input. She thinks it over for a few seconds before replying. The two of us would be faster and more inconspicuous. Raffi can stay hidden with Sam in the bag. Okay, let's do that, or it would be better if I went alone. Oh no, I don't know. I feel like wouldn't it be more inconspicuous if we go by ourselves because we'd be a lot less likely to be found? I think I might actually send him in alone. I don't know if that's the wrong choice or not, but I feel bad because we did ask for her input, but it's also exactly what I expected her to say, and I don't want her to die. Nora nods. Alright, but I'll cover you from a distance. It's too dangerous to go alone. Oh, okay, so she's gonna kind of come with us anyways, I guess. Raffi can stay hidden with Sam in the bags. Oh, you're so cute. Tiny, tiny. Sam clings even tighter to his mother. She hugs him, trying to calm him. Hey, it'll be fine. Don't worry. I'll be back very soon. Don't worry, Sam. We'll have a bit of a rest. Oh, look at the little die in his hands, too. This is so... I love the art style. Sorry, I know I'm gonna be saying it the entire video, but the art style is really nice. He's pulled a pair of dice from his pocket and rolls them in the palm of his hand. The little wooden cubes knock against each other, making an oddly soothing clicking. And I have to get my own back after our last game. What do you say? Sam agrees, but still clings to Nora. I quickly look over our surroundings while she coaxes him again. Finally, I notice a small building, a little set back. I enter carefully through a smashed window. Many of the walls have collapsed, but it still seems to be holding up. The place has already been ransacked, which makes it a better hideout. I signal the others to join me. Ah, okay, cool. Raffi gathers our packs out of sight. We make a little nest of blankets for Sam. Nora and I leave them a little water before we go. I take a flask and an empty bag. Nora takes her stick. She mostly uses it for walking, but it's also a weapon that she masters well. I don't like the idea that we'll be forced to fight, but I know that we might not have any other choice. God, the creaking is kind of creepy. Oh, it's so pretty. Oh, except for the dead bodies in the street, which I didn't notice at first. Okay. We start running, making as little sound as possible. After a minute, Nora gestures me to keep going. I'm sure she's watching over me from a distance to try and spot any possible pursuit. The road I take heads down into the heart of the city. It's flanked by low buildings with stores at street level. I hear raised voices in the distance, but I can't pinpoint the source. I continue with even more caution. Sometimes I'm obliged to step over dead bodies. Yeah, like why are there so many dead bodies? Like, it's a little bit alarming, is it not? Most of them are long dried up. No one has bothered to take care of their remains. The further I go into the city, the stronger the stench. After passing a large crossroads, I descend until I reach an old cafe where I can make out figures inside. I stop by the broken store window and glance inside. There are two people busy by the counter. Men, clearly occupied with sorting through materials heaped on the counter. Food, water, everything we need. Oh god, this is quite dangerous to try and take their stuff like that though. I'm hesitating over our next course of action when Nora joins me. She indicates that we're not being followed. Okay, so she comes and joins up anyways, even if we don't want her to. I explain the situation to her by gesticulation. She nods, and after glancing inside in her turn, she points out a shotgun that I hadn't noticed, resting on the table. She takes a deep breath, tightens her fingers around her stick, and signals me not to move. Oh no, this is not good. I know full well that she's about to spring on them, using the element of surprise to try and neutralize them. Oh no. I nod to show my agreement. I decide to go with her. I shake my head in disagreement and I move forward in the open, hands raised to try and negotiate. I kind of have different opinions about this. I feel like going with her kind of makes more sense as well, just because then it would be like 2-on-2. But then also I feel like going in, like trying to negotiate could be good, but considering that the streets were filled with bodies that were clearly not treated very nicely, then like how do we know that these guys didn't do it? So I don't know, maybe the element of surprise would be good here. So maybe we'll do that. Nora knows what she's doing. I remain hidden, ready to intervene. She slips through the broken window and moves in on them silently, like a prowling tiger. The sound of her steps on the glass shards at last alerts the two men, but they don't have enough time to react. Nice! One of them scrambles for the shotgun, but Nora has anticipated his action and picks him off with a sideways strike to the jaw. I hear a distant crack and he collapses. His companion has had the time to snatch up a large rusty-bladed axe. Nora is unimpressed. Oh, hell yeah, let's go, Nora. She waits patiently for an opening and uses the strength of her stick to make an unexpected swipe, which hits her adversary's ankle so hard that I can feel the impact myself. He lets out a cry survive pain, but the stick whirls again and returns to smack him across the head. He drops like a stone, shattering a stool with his fall. The coast is clear. She's so cool. Okay. I hurry inside to carry as much as possible before anyone else turns up. As we're leaving the cafe, I hear yells and the sounds of a convoy coming from above. It looks like our retreat is cut off. Nora hesitates. She'd be prepared to face down a battalion barehanded to get back to Sam. I take her arm gently. Nora, no. Come on, we'll get round further down. She nods and we leave it at a run. I'm praying nobody spots us before we can disappear around the corner of the next road. We hasten across a large square. I catch a sight of human figures in some of the buildings, but they don't intervene. We veer from alley to alley, hoping to shake our pursuers. The further we go, the more we encounter poor folk busy digging through the detritus. They barely look up as we pass, but they vanish rapidly when they see the men chasing us. Soon we reach the heart of the old city, paved roads lined with stone arches. This part of the city must have been magnificent in a different time. Unfortunately, the layout of the streets becomes maze-like, and I'm less and less confident in our chance of escape. I'm beginning to panic when a door opens in our path. An elderly woman steps out and urges us quickly inside. I rush in, hoping Nora follows. I turn to check with Nora. No, let's check with Nora. Oh, there's quite a few people in here. It's really not the moment to hesitate, Camille. I mean, I'm just checking that my wife is safe and sound. In the gloom, we can make out a largely untidy room. There are several people sitting or lying on the floor. The old woman who opened the door for us directs us to hurry to a small stairway that descends into the cellar. We descend into an even darker area, barely illuminated by a single candle. It looks like a former storage area, now converted into a dormitory. The smell isn't pleasant, but the cool of the underground room is more bearable than the heat outside. Oh, it's so cozy. The woman invites us to sit, which we do with relief. We soon hear upheaval upstairs, but we remain silent. There's some discussion, then the noises fade away. We remain in complete silence for a few more minutes before thanking our benefactress. I express myself in a broken Spanish that she seems to understand. Nora listens patiently to our conversation. Thank you so much. I did what I had to do. You're travelers, aren't you? Yes, we come from the south. I'm Camille, and this is my wife, Nora. Nora greets her respectfully with a graceful nod. I'm Marina. Where are you going? North. Marina nods. To where? I don't know. As far as it takes. She nods again. Yes, that's good. I've got something for you. She disappears through the trapdoor, gesturing us to wait. I use this moment of quiet to take Nora's hand. We have to find Sam. Oh, let's take Nora's hands. Let's comfort our wife. It's like she's already worried about Sam, of course. We don't even remind her. Her hands, worn as they are, seem to be the softest thing in the world. Our fingers weave together like threads of the same fabric. We enjoy the simple relief of being, both of us, alive. Yeah, I wonder if you could have died there by choosing one of the other options or not. We have to find Sam. Yes. Can she help us? I think so. Oh, it's so cute. A few minutes later, Marina comes back down and proffers me an old battered map. Look, this is for you. I've been waiting to give it to you. You've been waiting for us? Yes. What do you mean? I don't understand. It doesn't matter. Listen, the roads aren't safe. There are many dangers and much despair. If you follow the route on the map, you'll be away from the big roads. What do you mean it doesn't matter? Maybe they saw us peering over when we were kind of like looking in from the outside. I'm grateful, but I suspect this poor woman has lost her mind. I don't know what to say. Thank you. And you do something for me in return. Very well. Tell me what I can do. I'll help you get out of the city. There's a path. On the path, there's a house with green walls and a red door. You must stop there. All right. And then it's up to you. She takes my hands between her own. Now rest. It will soon be night and you can leave. I have things to do. And she leaves us there. We use this moment of respite to take stock of what we've picked up. We've had incredible luck. There have been several liters of water, dried meat, and cereals. Nice. Let's go. We put some aside for the people who live here and packed up the rest carefully. Oh, that's very respectful. Night falls quickly and Marina reappears. The way is clear. Are you ready? Yes. Here, that's for you. I indicate the items packed up for her. Thank you for hiding us. She nods her head with feeling, seeing the little pile of provisions. She takes my hand and Nora's in her own. Thank you, my children. She drinks several mouthfuls from the can of water before catching her breath. Come now, follow me. We follow her to the ground floor. She exchanges a few words with an old man who heads down to the cellar to see the distribution of the rations. Everyone hails us as we leave the room. They call us the Walkers. Comandantes or Comandantes? Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. With respect in their voices, as though it were an honorific. Outside, the night is stifling. The temperature hasn't really dropped, even if it's a little more bearable without the sun's burning light. The night sky is shrouded with a reddish glow, although the city lighting hasn't worked for a long time. Marina follows my gaze and explains in a resigned tone. It's the fires. The city burns all the time. We don't notice it in the daytime, but at night it's never truly dark. That explains the lingering smoke that's covered the sky since we arrived. She sighs. Falta las estrellas. I suppose that at least some of the fires are accidental. Marina leads us in the shadow through a maze of narrow alleys. After After we descend a flight of stone steps, we discover a vast plaza. Before us, amongst the ruins of the cities, stands an immense cathedral. The size of the building astounds me. In the square, at the foot of the monumental stair that leads up to the facade, people are kneeling, lit by a few candles there, among the other bodies, eternally still, that lay on the paving. I stop to gaze at the strange scene. I decide not to linger. Oh, kind of want to see what happens if you stop to share it. Oh, so cool. I noticed the ridiculously intricate swirls at the Baroque facade. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. And below, the voices intoning desperate prayers. Nora pulls on my hand, dragging me back to reality. We walk along the square in silence. Then we take several climbing roads. Protected by the darkness, we cross a large part of the city unhindered. I point out the direction of Rafik and Sam's hideout to Marina. She nods and continues to guide us. Oh, cool, we made it, nice. When we near the house, Nora and I hurry inside. Rafik is there, keeping guard. Well now, it's about time. Sorry, we had a few incidents. How's Sam? Rafik frowns. So. He was very agitated, but he finally dropped off. Is he ill? No, but you know. Yes, we know, Nora and I. Sam tends to freak out when he's anxious. Yeah, you mean like an anxiety attack or what? I mean, it makes sense. Like, of course, he's a child in an apocalyptic world and both of his parents just left him, might not ever come back. Like, I feel like it's pretty fair. He was very tired. I'm sure he'll be back when he's had something to eat and drink. We invite Marina to join us and we take the time to recount our adventures to Rafik over a frugal meal. Sam wakes up and comes over to snuggle in Nora's arms for a long while, then in mine before having any food. He devours everything we offer him, except the dried meat, which he refuses to touch. Really? Why's that? Since he's woken up, Marina hasn't taken her eyes off Sam. She seems hypnotized. There aren't many children around here, is that it? No. Marina seems overwhelmed by her emotions. I speak to Rafik. We've agreed to do a favor for Marina, to thank her for her help. She's told us about a house where we have to stop before we continue our journey. I give her benefactress a questioning look, but she simply encourages me with a nod of her head. And in fact, I don't really know what we'll do there. Nobody can know for what you must do. A hush follows the statement. That's deep. Marina waves away Nora's remark. There are two young people there. They need your help. They cannot stay there. Are they friends of yours? She shrugs, but doesn't reply. Oh, is this the flashback of Sony and Anaya? I don't know why I thought that this was like after we had moved on from leaving them. Unless I'm wrong, we're just gonna meet different people or something. I don't know. She shrugs, but doesn't reply. Why do you want us to help these people? Yeah, let's go with that. This time, she grips my arm and looks at me, her face grave. You ask too many questions. You owe me a favor. Oh, okay. I'll keep my word. Rafik cements the deal. Okay, well, we've got an objective anyway, and we've stayed here long enough. Let's get going. We gather our things, and Marina wishes us farewell. Before leaving, she throws herself at Sam's feet and utters a prayer to her god. Sam's not sure what to do. He strokes her hair awkwardly and helps her up. She wipes away the tears that stream down her cheeks and leaves a faltering step after throwing a final blessing at us. Once loaded with our packs, we begin walking the streets of the upper city in search of the house with the green walls. It's the small hours of the night, but the sky is still obscured. I hope we won't find ourselves trapped by the flames. Rafik walks at my side while Sam makes the most of his mother's presence. Nice work, Camille. You did a good job, you and Nora. We'll be able to hold on for several weeks with what you found. That's really good. We must have found a lot. It's mostly thanks to Nora. She was particularly efficient. We just got lucky. It was definitely Nora. Yeah, as usual, you're kind of useless. But we love you anyways, you know? Says the guy who stayed hidden playing dice. You're happy enough to have me look after your Prologue? What does that mean? Well, you and your bird were goofing off in town. Touché. I stand corrected. Tell me, in your opinion, the dried meat you found, what kind of meat is it, do you think? Oh god, I didn't even think about that. Maybe that's why Sam didn't eat it, because it seemed off to him. Do you think it's human meat? It looks like pig. That was a specialty of this region before, I think. The moment I say the words, I'm gripped by doubt. Oh no. Rafik shrugs. You know, I haven't seen many pigs around here. I'm not even appalled by the idea it could be human flesh. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I just think deeper into apathy and resentment. Could we, one day, drag ourselves from this chasm of atrocity? Will we be able to live a normal life again? In case of doubt, we'll get rid of it. We've got no choice, we need the protein. Oh, I feel like we should get rid of it then, because if it's human meat, that could just make you even more sick, and then obviously cause you to become dehydrated and eat even more food. But we are, like, if you look at the little thing at the very top, we are very low on protein. I think that's for food, the red one. Oh god, I don't know. I feel like we should just get rid of it. Even Sam rejected it, so maybe he can like sense something's wrong with it or something. My companion approves. In any case, Sam didn't eat it. Do you think he knew? How could that be possible? It's Sam. He knows things. I'm thinking of that cryptid moment when Sam catches up with us and points out a house. Isn't that the one? The house? Despite the murk, we can detect the green walls that contrast with the peeling red paint of the door. The whole place is in a bad state. The facade is blackened by a fire that has clearly ravaged the surroundings. The blinds are patched together and the windows barricaded. Not knowing what to do, I simply knock on the door. I ask everyone to keep a low profile. Let's just knock on the door. I don't know. Nora grasps my arm as I'm about to head for the doorstep. Hang on, Camille. I'm gonna check out the house first. Okay, so I guess we don't really get a choice anyway. She disappears around the corner of a building. We wait in silence. She reappears a few minutes later and announces in a low voice, 2 people in a room on the west side. I think they spotted us and they're hiding. We better let them know we don't mean them any harm, right? Okay, but how? Rafik shrugs and suddenly knocks on the door several times, announcing in a loud voice, don't be scared, we don't mean you any harm. Yeah, that's one way to do it. We watch Rafik, baffled. Wow, talk about subtle. I mean, what else are you gonna do? Sam giggles. I'm torn between amusement and concern. There they are, peeking out. Okay, yeah, so I think that is an iron zone. Sam's laughter is catching. We're surprised to give in, one by one, to the unexpected hilarity. Rafik pretends to be annoyed. Sure, it's easy to make fun of the people who take the initiative. That's true, Rafik. Luckily, you're here to show us the way. Yeah, the way. Way too loud. I'm aware it's not all that funny, but it sets us off into another paroxysm of laughter. Sorry, I don't know half of these words sometimes. After a minute, I notice the peals of laughter that the door is open. 2 young people are watching us with astonishment. This is our first contact with an iron zone. Yeah, okay, cool. They're thin, wary, pretty dirty. I don't know how long they've been hiding here, but they're clearly terrified. Who are you? We're travelers. We won't hurt you. Travelers? Yes, Marina sent us. They exchange glances. Do you know Marina? Can we come in? Yeah, do they even know Marina? I assume so. They nod and invite us inside. Oh, okay. There's a pungent smell inside. Rancid. Oh. Marina's a friend. She helped us to escape. Escape? The city is divided between several armed militias. It was okay with the first gang. We had to work hard, but it was okay. But when they were attacked by another gang, they moved us. And we were held by force down there. Forced to... She's overcome. Her companion takes her in his arms, and she nestles against his chest. We've been here for days. I know they're still looking for us. If they find us, they'll kill us. Or worse. I sense Nora's frown. I can almost hear her fury snarl. It's infuriating. Even if we knew it, of course, slavery. The domination and exploitation of the weakest. When will it stop? Sam steps forward and takes my hand. Can we give them something to eat? Yes, of course. They're shocked as they finally notice Sam. A child. He's so beautiful. Yeah, so I guess like not a lot of people have seen children here, which kind of makes sense. Like it would probably be really hard to keep them alive. She kneels to put herself at Sam's height and ruffles his hair. My name's Sam. I'm Camille. This is Nora and Rafik. They introduce themselves in turn and we offer them food and drink. And I and Son fill their bellies, weeping with joy. I'm a little embarrassed and decide to give them some privacy for their meal. That's kind of cute though. It's kind of wholesome. I use the chance to gather Rafik and Nora around me. We can't leave them here. You want to bring them along? On the road with us? I think I might suggest it to them anyway. Do you disagree? Well, it's fine, but they can hardly stand. It's gonna slow us down a lot. How far do you want them to come with us? I don't know. As far as possible? Just a bit further. Oh. I mean, it's kind of weird answering this now because we already know that they want to depart from us later on, since this is like technically a flashback, right? Let's just say as far as possible. Why not? Our resources are a bit limited, but there'll be more of us to try and find more. In the end, Anaya and Son walked at our sides for long weeks. They've bonded with each of us and have shown themselves brave and willing. But today, I know they're facing a difficult choice. Okay, so now we're back in present day. Now, Anaya is here, in front of me, waiting for my reaction. So, what do you say, Camille? We could settle in this barn. It's true, you could stay here sometime. It's dangerous. I think you should come with us. I don't know. I mean, it's true, like they do have some resources to stay here, but we don't really know anything of like who's around this area. But also, our resources are getting very limited, so it would be kind of difficult to continue with them with us, but it does help us to be able to get more stuff, you know? Maybe I'll suggest that it's dangerous, because at the end of the day, if they want to stay, then they're gonna stay. First off, you won't last long eating nothing but barley, and it's not even certain it's edible. And also, I think you're risking getting an unpleasant visit at any moment. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty true. But we're too exhausted to go back on the road, Camille. I understand, Anaya. Listen, we'll all stay here for a few days, but we have to keep going a bit further, but we'll take a break as soon as possible. Oh god, I don't know. I feel like pushing on when you're so exhausted that you feel like you can't go on, that will force them to decide to not come with us. But if we do rest and stay here, then it does put us at risk. Ah, god, I don't know. Maybe we'll push on just a little bit more? She sighs, despairing. Fuck, maybe I should choose the other one. And how long? I don't know. As soon as possible? I'm sorry, Anaya. We need to find a safer place with more varied and dependable resources. Anaya hesitates a few seconds, then says, listen, Camille, I think I'm pregnant. Oh god. I wasn't expecting that news at all. I don't say anything, allowing myself the time to digest this new information. I know there's not much chance of it working out, but if I keep exhausting myself, it won't help. I nod. I see. We'll rest here for a few days so you can get your strength back. Okay, so we end up staying anyways. It's kind of hard to tell tell like which decisions actually matter or not, because sometimes I feel like it almost autocorrects, but then other times it does seem like it changes things, so who knows. I take her hands. We'll do our best to help you, Anaya. She smiles, relieved. Thank you. We unpack our things again. As we'll be staying for a few days, I take the time to make the bedding more comfortable for everyone. We might as well use this break to get as well rested as possible. We decide to stay in the camp the first day. We cook and ingest a small quantity of barley to check if it's edible. Rafik works on the old well to try to get as much water as possible from it, but the potential stays small. We're exhausted and starving. We won't last much longer at this rate. We have to make a decision. The next morning, the weather is set fair. I can't decide whether I should organize an expedition to explore the surroundings, to at least check that we're not under threat from a gang of looters. Oh, okay. It was kind of weird the way it was worded, like I can't decide whether, made it sound like it was going to be an or thing, but that's just it. Okay. I asked Nora to come with me, I asked Rafik to come with me, but I decided to let everyone rest for the time being. Oh, I see. Okay. So like whether or not to go out or to rest. I think I'm gonna ask Rafik to come with us because I feel like we do need supplies really badly, and I also want to spend more time with him because I quite like the dynamic between Camille and him. We take a minimum of supplies and leave to explore the area. The expedition is dull, but we find a little material in surrounding buildings, good quality pans and various tools. At the end of the day, I notice a dust cloud far to the west. That doesn't bode well. It would be wise not to hang out. We rarely return to camp. The day after, I'm reluctant to get back on the road, and Aya still seems weak and could certainly use an extra day's rest. On the other hand, it still feels dangerous for us to stay here too long, and the dust we saw during our expedition yesterday is not reassuring. Oh god, we stayed a day longer? We break camp immediately. I feel like if we leave, then Anaya is probably gonna want to stay and slash like leave us. But if we stay, like is this barn actually gonna be able to hold up to whatever the dust storm sort of thing is? I think maybe stay like one more day and then leave. We stay a day longer. Anaya's health is paramount. An extra day of rest could make all the difference to her pregnancy. I agree. To reassure myself, I return to the place where we'd seen the dust cloud the day before. The cloud is still visible, but seems to have changed direction. Oh, that's great. If it stays on that trajectory, it will pass a few kilometers to the south of our position. I'm not completely reassured, but I guess there's no danger, at least for today. That's great. That worked out fantastic. I feel like you could have checked that first and then decided, but you know, that's fine. We use a stock of barley that we can't take with us to make 2 copious meals without depleting our other provisions. The next day, the question arises again. Anaya seems better rested. Is it worth us trying again? We break camp, we remain in the camp. Oh. I feel like it's time to break camp now. We break camp. I don't want to risk any unfortunate meetings by staying too long. Anaya, of course, would have preferred to stay a few more days, but I think she understands my decision. Nice! On the road together. Cool. 1 hour later, we're once again on the road, all 6 of us. Yeah, I feel like you really could have, there's so many opportunities for Anaya to probably choose to not come with us anymore, which honestly would have been fair if we were trying to like rush things too much. The scenery has subtly changed. The desolate plains are now scattered with charred trees. Their silhouettes are disturbing, bristling with blackened branches. They bring to mind hands twisted with pain, frozen in one's last gasp. Sometimes a tree suddenly collapses under the wind. It breaks and slumps with a series of sinister cracks, then scatters in clouds of sooty dust. The agonized groans of these wretched plants punctuate our otherwise silent march. After some days of walking, I notice a strange phenomena in the distance, in our path. The sky is obscured by some sort of vast cloud that's moving far too fast, accompanied by a kind of distant buzzing. Oh, that's not good. I stop the company to try and make sense of what I've seen. Rafik comes over and announces in a grim voice, "Locusts." I splutter with surprise. A cloud that size? There must be hundreds of millions of locusts. Yep, that's right, but there's not a thing left to eat for miles around. How do they survive? Do they eat each other or what? No, but those creatures can cross amazing distances. What do? He shrugs. We can try to go through. I don't think they'll try to eat us. Sure, but us though, we could eat them, right? Yep, we could eat them toasted or crush them into a powder. It's very nourishing and keeps a long time. Oh, then maybe that's great. Are you crazy? We're not going through that. And I looks at the sky with revulsion. Really, I think it's more than I can handle. I loathe insects, especially the flying ones, but those are the worst, just thinking about it. She doesn't finish her sentence, but the shudder that shakes her from head to foot speaks volumes. Well, we could also try to go around it. If we head north, we should be able to avoid it completely. Rafik gives a disapproving groan. But surely we're not gonna miss out on a food source. Meal. I sigh. Anaya's disgust is understandable. I know this type of thing isn't rational and that she'll have a hard time overcoming it. It's difficult to impose this trial on her. Sam, who's come closer, suddenly says, "I thought we mustn't go to the north." We look at him, startled. Why is that? Because I heard that. Seeing the doubt in my face, he adds, "Someone told me." Who? When? A heavy silence follows this statement. I know Sam's been having visions for some time, even if he rarely speaks of it. They're probably hallucinations brought on by their post-traumatic stress, but Rafik seems to give them some credence, and Nora has remained silent on the matter. I approach Sam and ask him gently, "Do you want to tell me about it?" He hesitates. "Did he see somebody?" "A long time ago." "No, he just went past. There." I'm sure that nobody's gone past the place where he's pointing disappointing. We couldn't have not seen them, except that it wasn't really someone. It was like something left over after. After what? After when you're dead. A ghost? Yes, sort of. You saw a ghost. Sam nods. And it told you something. Yes. He said not to go to the north. I think over my next question. Oh, okay. Are you sure? Can you describe it to me? You often see things that other people don't see. Don't insist. Oh, very curious. I mean, it seems like we already know that he often sees things that other people don't see for whatever reason. Maybe let's ask to describe it to him instead. There was a man. He just passed there. He came from that direction. Sam points towards the north. How did he look? This man? I don't know. He looked like he was looking for home. But how was he dressed, for example? I'm not sure. He had a hat? A hat. He kept clearing his throat, as if something was squeezing his throat and stopping him from breathing. Whoa. Maybe that's how he died. Maybe he died in the north and somebody choked him out or something. And or maybe from the dust storm or something like that. Sam struggles to find the words. He's close to tears. Take your time, honey. Breathe. He obeys and composes himself. Sorry, it's hard to explain. A bit like when you try to tell somebody about a dream, you know? I understand, my angel. My angel, so cute. The more I try to talk about it, the more it gets all fuzzy. The tears are returning. I can maybe ask him one last question. Oh, no. Oh, okay, so it's the same questions as before. Okay, so then let's go with this one, because the other ones seem kind of obsolete. Do you often see things other people don't see? Only people. Do they scare you? A bit, sometimes. But it's not really their fault. It's just that sometimes they look weird. Sam seems desperately sorry and frustrated, not able to give me more detail. He collapses in tears. I take him in my arms and rock him gently until he's calm. I won't push him further. Okay, buddy, it's over. We'll stop there. I'm sorry I can't help you more. You already did fine. Don't worry. I'm at a loss. I want to help Sam, make it so his visions stop, but I don't know how. I turn to the others. Nora's come over to take Sam in her arms. Rafik simply shakes his head thoughtfully, clearly moved by what he's just heard. Rafik? Yep. What do you think? I think that I have absolutely no desire to head north. But well, it's up to you, Camille. He gives me a friendly clap on the shoulder. We'll follow you, no matter what. Oh, God. Okay. I straighten up. The buzzing's grown louder. The cloud of locusts is more and more imposing and moves at an astounding speed. The creatures are probably starving, in quest of plant life to ravage. I have to decide fast. I take a deep breath. Something happens, and a jarring memory surfaces in my mind. Oh, it's so pleasant here. Look at the little chickadees. Oh, it's so cute. I push the gate open with my small hands and creep inside. When I enter my father's garden, I always have the feeling I'm entering an enchanted world, a place where anything can happen. The buzzing of the busy bees, the aromatic plants that push against each other, and the joyous cacophony of the senses. The mingled scents of lavender, coriander, and thyme intoxicate me as I hop along the lopsided little flagstones, which wind between the bushes and the climbing plants to the small vegetable patch. I love the smell of lavender. Avoiding the wild little worker bees, I linger near the flowers, keeping the tip of my nose almost touching them. I squint inside, holding my breath, in the hope of seeing a fairy come out, or a sprite, or some other marvelous creature which we still had the right to believe in when we were children back then. My father's awakening began in a pot of honey. He ate it perennially until the day that he learned in a documentary that honey, true honey, was about to become a thing of the past, because the bees were too. Yeah, so much so that the honey factories are adding sugar syrup to the honey to keep up with demand. It was from that rather selfish stimulus that he started finding out a lot. I can see him, standing in the midst of his magic garden, the smile on his face as he watches my approach. The crazy plants press around me. Flower stems brush against my legs and elbows. Some of them tower above me. Do you like honey, Camille? Of course, who doesn't like honey? I don't remember, Dad. I don't remember the taste. Oh God, that's so sad. Sure, let's just go with we like honey. People who don't know what they're missing. Trust me, today we know. I'd have liked to introduce Sam to the taste of honey, and I'd have liked to have known Sam, you know. We still had so much hope when I started all this garden, for us, for the bees, so much hope that it wasn't too late. Oh, Mom. That's why we had your little sister. My mother has just appeared behind me, as if by magic. In this garden, a possibility still allowed. One hand resting on her slightly rounded belly, she watches me with infinite affection. Oh, okay, so she's pregnant right now. She joins my father and plants a kiss on his cheek, pinned by a sun already high, already too hot. Two of them watch me in silence, creating the barrier of love and sweetness around me that I had forgotten. That's sweet. I haven't been a child for a long time. Conflicting emotions fill me, recalling this moment when I learned that a little sister would now come with me through life. The moment I break the silence, I don't remember how I reacted as a child. I understand. It was irresponsible. I don't know. I understand, because I don't know what the other option means. Since I've had Sam, I can't help but understand. He too is hope for Nora and I. For all of us, really. I just hope that he doesn't blame me. Oh, I see. Like, irresponsible to have a child during these sorts of times. I see. A child doesn't ask that kind of question, my love. He lives with his time. He's not aware of all that happened long ago. And even so, I strongly doubt he would condemn you and Nora for giving birth to him. What will I tell him when he asks me one day why we brought him into such a world, if I'm still there to hear him ask it? Oh God, don't talk like that, Camille. You're sensible, and you've always been resourceful. We didn't know that would be so helpful for you in the future, but it comforted us a bit, your father and I, when things began to get complicated. Seeing that mute strength strength in you growing inexorably. Sorry, so many words, I can't do it. I'm sure you'll find out how to be there for your child always, no matter what happens. Mom, you don't know. You can't know. And perhaps it's for the best. Everything is so hard now. Oh, it's so sweet. I'm shaking like a leaf. The words muddled in my child's throat. The injustice of what's happening to us, of what we must endure, makes my heart burn with fury. And here and now, in the arms of my mother, where I can still be a child, still be not strong, I weep like the child I was. Powerful sobs, incoherent and stuffed with hiccups. Sobs like I haven't allowed myself for years, perhaps since I was born. That illusion of unwavering strength that I force myself to show. Why, after all? My mother clasps me in her arms and my father joins us, pressing his large hand on my head. Oh, now we're all grown up. We thought we were able to protect you from everything. We felt invincible for a while. Forgive us, Camille. Forgive us for everything. I want to answer them, to tell them that I too am sorry, that nobody could have imagined, truly imagined, how far everything would be screwed up. But I can't speak anymore, or even breathe properly. Salt engulfs my throat, tiny spines scratch at my face, and this strange dream with notes of memory flees in a panicked movement of scrabbling away a locust which clings obstinately to my beard. Good lord, the music got so intense there for what? Jesus Christ. The present imposes itself once more. Barely seconds have passed. A few seconds of infinity. I have to make a decision. I think we should go around by the north. It's more prudent. We'll go through the swarm. Oh no. Kind of wonder if the locusts would try to nibble on the humans. If they haven't been able to eat in so long, like would they evolve to try and eat different things? I don't know. I also just don't really know very much about locusts though, so. Oh god. Honestly, I really think that we should go through the swarm. Not only is it a food resource, but there's all sorts of weird spooky stuff apparently in the north for whatever reason. And yeah, it might be kind of like gross and upset Anaya, but like, I don't know, I feel bad because obviously if she's got some sort of phobia of it, like it can really be debilitating. But like, what if we could just like maybe, you know, wrap her head or something so she doesn't have to like see or hear it, like with a scarf or something, and we can guide her or something like that. I don't know. Like, we desperately need food, I think. Like, this thing looks all sorts of out of whack in terms of balance, so. Okay, I say we go through the swarm. We could set up a tent here and wait for them to arrive. That way Anaya and Sam could stay relatively safe and the rest of us can go out in pairs with something to catch enough of the locusts to make up our food reserves. I agree, that sounds like a great plan. We'll exhaust ourselves, less than all of us, trying to cross straight through. Hey, no, I want to come catch a locust too. They don't scare me. Then you can come with us, Sam. I considered this suggestion for a moment before speaking. Okay, let's do that. No, in that case, we might as well go straight through. I feel like if we do that, it makes the most sense because Anaya is like scared of the locusts and stuff, so she's gonna probably panic if she has to go through that, if she actually has like a proper phobia of it, which it seems like she does. Plus then she gets a little bit more rest, which she was wanting anyways. And then maybe it will be kind of fun for Sam as well, because it's like kind of fun to like run around and try to catch bugs, maybe. I don't know. Sure, let's do that. We could take shelter for a few hours, take turns to get some rest. Only the concept of rest is going to be pretty nebulous with the infernal racket these creatures are making. Perhaps we could put bits of cloth in our ears so we could muffle the noise. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Or like, you know, just wrap a little scarf or something like that around it. Let's try it. We'll see. Rafik's right. It would be a pity to miss out on food source. Anaya doesn't seem delighted with this decision. She opens her mouth to speak, then exchanging a helpless look with Son, she changes her mind, seeing that everyone has begun bustling about to put up the tent before the locusts arrive. Then we all wait inside for the wave to hit us. At the moment the first insects begin to land on the tent, Anaya puts out a terrified scream and cowers against Son, closing her eyes. Yeah, okay, so she got like a proper phobia. I'm really glad then that we didn't try to go through it in the middle. We instinctively huddle together, gasping, plugging our ears as best as we can with shreds of fabric from our store. After a muffled, torpid moment where we all try to get used to the incessant whirring that drones right through to our bowels, Rafik stands up. He's frowning with discomfort, but his voice is still full of determination when he says, as he heads for the tent entrance, "Let's not lose any time. I'm going out to gather a batch of our little plant-eating pals. Who's coming with me?" Oh my, alright, right into it, I guess. At the moment I'm about to join him, one of the tent pegs, despite having been carefully anchored to the ground, comes loose. Oh no, Anaya. The movement drives me to my knees as I push back the tent canvas, which clings to my body. Nori and Rafik come to help me out, pushing back the insect-laden cloth, which has begun to engulf our shelter. We've underestimated the mass of locusts and the airstream caused by their movement, and the tent won't hold out long at this rate. Anaya starts screaming, panicked, and Son takes her in his arms, covering her with his cloak so she doesn't see the locusts that had begun to climb over them. I'm so sorry, Anaya. Let's pack up. The tent won't won't hold out under the weight of the locusts. There's no choice. We'll have to go through the swarm. The noise rapidly becomes deafening and the swarm of locusts abruptly darkens. They fly at an outstanding speed. We're forced to cover our heads and the rest of our bodies with cloth to absorb the collisions. The number is terrifying, but the size of the creatures is even more astonishing. The biggest ones are almost the size of my hand. I've never seen anything like it. That's huge. We move forward as well as we can, Sony protecting a catatonic Anaya with his cloak. The shock has been too drastic and I profoundly blame myself for forcing her to face her fears in such a way. Sony's exhausted from making her continue and finally gives up. They end up stopping walking after only a few hours. A few hours? Jesus, how long is this crossing? I thought it was gonna be like 10-20 minutes maybe. I regret insisting so much that they come with us. I only hope that they'll manage to join us again when the locusts have passed. Oh, we kept going? We left them in there? Rafik uses a big sack made from blanket to capture the insects. When the night falls, we're still laboriously advancing through the interminable swarm. Nora points out a structure that I hadn't noticed on our right. It's a long stone building, probably an old chapel. We could certainly take shelter there for a few hours at least. Even inside, the locusts are numerous, so we can finally uncover our faces and sit for a while. Nora prepares the fire straight away, while Rafik gets busy making insect skewers. Oh, this is quite cozy, but I feel so bad that Anaya and Sony are out there. I can't believe that they just left them there. I've attached a colored fabric outside so that Sony and Anaya know that we've taken shelter here. I watch the entry, hoping that any second they'll come through the door and shelter at our side, but they don't come. Jesus Christ. Do you think they died out there or got lost? Or I don't know. Despite their unappetizing appearance, I have to admit that once toasted, the locusts are pretty tasty. That's great. I don't know about you, but me, these are my favorite insects. And what are the insects you like the least? Mosquitoes. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, mosquitoes are honestly quite awful just in general, but I genuinely hope that he's never tried to eat them because I imagine that that would be maybe like getting you sick or something. Because if they eat blood and you have no idea what type of blood or like what's wrong with any of the blood that they're taking in, like that could potentially make you sick maybe, or maybe it's not enough. Like if it's in such a small amount, I honestly have no idea. I feel like I would not ever want to eat a mosquito. Oh yes, the locusts are bigger and noisier, a bit like you. I really like the dynamic between all of those. But at least they don't carry malaria. And most important, you can't eat mosquitoes. Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's true. On the other hand, if there was even the smallest chance of anything growing around here, it's just been reduced to nothing. The heavy silence which follows my remark reminds me of Anaya and Sony. The hope of their survival shrinks a little more. Could they really die out there? Like how long could that crossing possibly be? Like in terms of the actual locust crossing over. We don't really have locusts where I live or anything like that. Like I've heard of them, but like I don't really know anything about them. Like not long enough to die in there, I don't think. But I could be wrong. Maybe it lasts for days. Who knows? Nora tries to diffuse the conversation. However, I didn't remember them biting that much. These things. Oh, they bite too? Oh, you think that's weird too? Bite's a bit of an overstatement. They nip a bit, that's all. Oh, yeah, okay, that's quite terrible though, because if you're stuck in there, then like after a really long time, that could be kind of bad. It still really hurts. Yeah. Sam rubs his arms and legs. I don't know how long it is since they ate something either. Okay, Camp Chapel. Rafik continues cooking the insects for most of the night. We have to drink a lot to wash down their salty flavor. Despite everything, the meal seems to perk Rafik up particularly. After a while, the noise of the locusts fades a little. We couldn't really sleep, but we're still able to rapidly explore the area before leaving. We could go look for Sony and Anaya and hope to find some tools or supplies on the way. As at every camp, I review the condition of our group and our provisions. We're exhausted and starving. We won't hold out long at this place. We have to make a decision. Oh god. I offer to lead an expedition to explore the area, or an expedition to find Sony and Anaya, or suggest that we all stay in the shelter and get our strength back for now. Oh no, I don't know. I feel like we should at least go and look for Sony and Anaya. But also they are exhausted and starving. But I feel like it's our fault that they got in that situation at all. Especially because I guess we were the ones who ended up coaxing them to come with us. So like they could have just stayed at the barn and probably been fine. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna offer to lead an expedition to find them. Oh, I go myself? I send Nora, I send Rafik. Oh no, okay. I feel like we should just go ourselves, but like I feel like that's always my answer. And I'm kind of scared to send Rafik because if anything happens. Oh god, okay, I think I'm gonna send Rafik purely just because of the line that the meal seems to perk him up, and I'm hoping that means energy levels and not just like perking up his mood. Sam? You can send Sam with him, really? You would want to send Sam out there? I think I'm gonna go with Rafik and let Sam and Nora rest. The scavenging team is complete. The expedition finds Sony and Anaya at the side of the road. Oh, nice, we found them. Poor Anaya is petrified. Sony is collapsing with exhaustion. Rafik helps Anaya and Sone to our camp. Afterwards, he returns to explore and brings back some cans left in an attic. Okay, good. Quiet of the shelter and Sam's kindness help Anaya regain her composure, while Sone gets a revitalizing rest. A few hours later, they're ready to go on. Nice! Okay, good. Oh my god, I was so worried for them. We're obliged to concentrate our efforts to get them back safe and sound. Afterward, they need several hours of rest and quiet before they can go on. We use the cool of the early hours to pack up and get moving again. Alright, so we're on to chapter 3 now. There may be a way to do well out of this. Now we descend into a hilly region. The terrain is even more arid. The road is flanked by ancient vineyards, long deserted, now invaded by spiny bushes, so dry and gray that we can't tell if they're dead or alive. By and by, at a bend in the dusty trail, we discover below us a wide valley, in the hollow of which can be seen the disquieting shapes of patched up old dwellings. They're nothing but flimsy constructions of sheet metal, steel, and scrap to protect the fragile herd of animals that we are. I wave to the others to join me. Did you see? Yep, there are people. Lots of people. At first glance, I'd say it's a big temporary camp that became permanent, and it's probably well guarded. Campos de Esclavitud? Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Anaya and Sone confer in rapid phrases I don't understand. Then Anaya sums it up for me. We've heard talk about this area, even if we never thought to see it with our own eyes. The approaches are guarded by the slavers. They control the paths to the north and assemble the refugees in camps on this side of the mountain. They force them to work for them. What do you mean? Sone shrugs. They use them to do all the thankless and physical jobs until they're worn out. Some are sold to the highest bidder, and those who don't survive, they use their meat. That's what they say anyway. Oh, human meat? Sam comes to cling to me. He's trembling a little. They're probably armed to the teeth. Yes, but we're at the very edge of the camp. There wouldn't be much risk in discreetly gathering some information. Exactly. Nora and I could go and take a look. Rafiq clears his throat. I know you're faster and quieter than me, but I think we may have an opportunity here. With those people there may be a way to do well out of this. Wow, that's the title of this chapter. Do well? You mean trade with them? But we've got nothing to offer. Rafiq grins at me. On the contrary, I think we've got a big stock of the one thing they need the most. A bath? No. Hope. Yes, we haven't got a bath, Mom. Very true. Okay, so priority is to avoid trouble or spell it out. I mean, I think we were wanting to avoid trouble. Rafiq raises his hands in surrender. You're the boss. Nora studies Rafiq, intrigued. Wait, do you want to tell us exactly what you've got in mind, Rafiq? Rafiq lets us gather around him before explaining. There has to be food in the camp, otherwise there wouldn't be so many people in the same place. Not enough for everyone, it would seem. Quite, but plenty for a small company. You want to steal their provision? No, at least not exactly. Rafiq. He flaps his hand at me to wait and keeps talking. If we pick out a few people and offer to take them north with us in exchange for some resources, it's up to them to figure out how to get them to us. And you don't care how they get them? Frankly, no. It's out of the question. Then what? How do we get them out? Let's say it's out of the question. I knew you'd say that. Of course you knew. Forget it. Let's go and take a closer look. Nora? She nods. Let's go. We steal down to the first shelters. The sour odor of human filth quickly intensifies. Mask our lower faces, or we continue our faces uncovered. I feel like we should probably mask our faces, as much to cloak the stench as to protect us from possible disease. Yeah, that's mostly what I was thinking about, was the disease. The closer we get, the more obvious it is that people here are no threat. They drag their gaunt figures with difficulty amongst the metal debris and the makeshift stone shelters. They look to be at the end of their strength, and most of them are missing one or more limbs or are badly wounded. Suddenly, raised voices drown out the groans and hacking coughs, prompting us to take cover against one of the buildings. We watch as a small group of men go past, dressed in combat fatigues and carrying a motley selection of firearms, from assault rifles to shotguns. They roughly push the poor unfortunates out of their way. They carry out what looks like a camp inspection, but they don't linger. Finally, they select 3 slightly younger and less sick than the others and force them to follow them to another area of the camp, enclosed by fencing and barbed wire. We don't move, or we follow them discreetly. Okay, with how many guns they have, I feel like not moving is probably better. When the patrol is out of sight, we wait in silence for a while before carefully continuing our approach. They don't notice us immediately. All of them are too busy with simply surviving. A day, an hour, a minute longer. They've set out several grubby canisters around the camp, probably trying to collect rainwater, but the containers remain woefully dry. A one-legged old man with a disease-ravaged face finally notices us. I can feel the astonishment in his gaze. He doesn't take his eyes off us. I signal to Nora and we approach him. As soon as we're within earshot, he murmurs something in Spanish, in a hoarse, rasping voice. I answer in Arabic, then in French. He nods his head at the French. You're not from around here. No, we're not. You are beautiful. It's kind of sweet. Unsure how to respond, I tell myself that no doubt he's mistaken the word. Still, he looks us up and down with a mix of respect and yearning. I realize that we're in great shape compared to the local standard, Nora especially. Her athletic figure and her feline grace must surely arouse admiration. Who are you? I'm Camille, and this is Nora. We're just travelers. Travelers? Travelers. He repeats the word with pleasure, as if savoring a delicacy. I'm so sorry, I don't know how to read Spanish, but there you go. I raise an eyebrow, not understanding. I watch the tears run silently down his cheeks. Can we do anything for you, friend? Or what did you just say? I'm gonna ask what he said, because I really don't know. Oh, ignoring my question, he suddenly seems to emerge from his reverie and looks around himself with panicked glances. You can't stay here. They'll be back. Leave quick. Wait, we've still got questions for you. If they see you here, it's over. They'll cut off your legs, your head, they'll cut off your wings, and you'll be like us, like me. Who are they? The tormentors. They're cruel. They patrol. They will see you. Run. I nod and we start to move away. Or one last thing, is there a way to get through the mountains? Oh, we do need that information. His ruined face is frozen for a moment with an unreadable expression. Come back tonight if you want, but not now. Too dangerous. Leave fast. He gesticulates as he drives us away. Some of the others finally notice us. They watch us as we leave the camp to return to the heights. Once the motley collection of shelters is far behind us, I think of all those crammed in the wretches, surviving as best as they can, and of what the old man said about cutting off our wings. I can't help recalling the last time I slept in a big city. I was about 20 years old and I was passing through the town. Which town was it? I forget the name. It's not important. It was one of those big modern cities on the edge of the desert, built in the last century with wealth from black gold. Stricken by crisis and wars, the heap of metallic and concrete structures had quickly turned into a trap for its citizens, starved and exploited by the dominant political, military, or religious caste? Sorry, I don't know what that word is. Or all three at once. As every year, we'd endure higher and higher temperature spikes. Except this time, it was a little hotter for a little longer, and it was too much. Much too much. People dropped like flies. Makeshift hospitals were cobbled together wherever there was a little shade and cool. In gymnasiums, in station concourses, in underground parking lots. But the power outages prevented equipment from being installed. Announcements continuously echoed through the streets, speakers crackling out obsolete recommendations. Stay hydrated. Don't leave your home except in an emergency. Avoid physical exertion. The inanity of the guidelines might have been funny if it hadn't been so tragic. Following the advice assumed firstly that you had access to drinking water, and also that your so-called home hadn't already transformed into a furnace. Lastly, the recommendations only actually concerned a very small portion of the population. I was outside that day in search of water. I'd been housed the night before by a little family whose only wealth was their compassion and their humanity. The least I could do was everything possible to return the favor. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do much to help them. I'm gonna pick the second one because he was kind of saying that he really didn't have much in the first place, so I don't think he could actually help them all that much. I needed to stock up with water before continuing my journey, so there I am, roaming the streets, hoping to find a reasonably clean water source. The streets are deserted. Petrol had been rare and too expensive for a long time. Suddenly, a thud startles me. I look for the source of the noise. Around me, the heat emanating from the asphalt is almost unbearable. I finally see it. A few meters away, a bird crashed into the ground. I look in disbelief at the small heap of bloodied white feathers. Holy. Another thump surprises me, then another, and many others. I run in search of shelter, or I try to understand what's happening. Maybe shelter first, because just in case if you get hit. I think I cry out, my arms shielding my head. Streaming down around me, a deafening host of macabre bouquets, wreaths of feathers and blood. Finally, I scramble into a building entrance where I squeeze in with a dozen other bystanders. Time stands still. We watch in silence as the bird slam down for a long time. When it finally stops, the scorching ground is coated in feathers, which drift down through the stifling air. All of us have as much difficulty realizing that it's over as we had understanding when it began. For several minutes, I feel as though I can still hear the creatures dropping, the muffled crunch of their fragile bones resonating in the silence, but I'm almost certain I'm imagining it. It's over. I look at the faces of those sheltered with me. Beneath the little porch where we're all crammed in together, nobody meets the eyes of the others. Everyone stares at the floor, but not too far. Not far enough to see anything that might make them have to think. There are a few uncomfortable whispers, spoken only to fill the unbearable silence, to fill the void fast and avoid the dizzying sense of guilt. A child starts to cry. He cries a long time, and the adults leave. The child and I remain there, him weeping and me staring at the devastation, because I don't want to look away. I want to look at it straight on, this god-awful world we've made. They'll tell us in the news it was an exceptional case, probably caused by a heat wave, but deep down, we don't believe that. It was just some birds migrating too late who got themselves into trouble. But the child and I, we know that those birds, those tiny bloodied heaps, shattered on the burning asphalt, they matter. He weeps and I rage. And then we look at each other. The water that fills his huge soft eyes dilutes my fury, and yet I don't like children. They don't understand anything. They're strangers to poetry and wit. They're selfish and self-absorbed. They don't truly understand gratitude, and their rare generous impulses are usually driven by strict upbringing, nothing more. I mean, they're children, like they don't know any better. At least that's what I believed at the time. Yeah, I guess this was probably before he had his kid. But it wasn't poetry that fell from the sky that day. It was stark reality, raw and naked. Nakedness that the grown-ups hastened to drape with dark humor and hypocrisy. The only one that had truly seen, the only one who had truly understood, was this damp-eyed child. Almost 20 years later, I know that overall they didn't make it, the birds. Today, the blue sky is as deserted and silent as a shard of glass. We killed the birds, and I had a child. I emerged from my reverie as we reached the summit. The afternoon is already well advanced. Sam sits by Anaya, who seems to be telling him a story. When they see us coming, he runs to meet us. Once we're at the peak, the group gathers around me. I quickly relate the situation and tell them what I think. We shouldn't get involved in what's going on here, or we have an opportunity. Let's go with the first one. People are packed in behind barred stockades. There's some kind of militia controlling the pass. They're armed and they look dangerous. dangerous. I think it's much too risky to try and find out more. As for the refugees, they're starving and mostly wounded. I think they're waiting for an opportunity that will never come, and I won't deny I think there's little hope for those poor people. What do you think, Nora? Nora shakes her head and speaks up. The patrols are well equipped. Their weapons look well cared for. I'd be interested to see how many of them there are and exactly what their goal is. Also, considering how many people are packed in there, I think that if there's a less obvious passage to the north, then it's dangerous or difficult to find. The only way to get any answers is to go back tonight, but I don't trust those people there. Do you think we should go or not? We should go, but we shouldn't rush in blindly. They promised us information, but it could also be a trap. Those people are desperate. I'm sure they wouldn't hesitate to betray us for an extra mouthful of water. Oh, I didn't think about it like that. You're right, we should be ready to defend ourselves, or I'm not so sure. I think she's right. Oh, I don't know, maybe the second one? I'll go, tonight. I give Rafik a searching look. I think I can negotiate with them, and if things go tits up and I get caught, you get yourselves out of here pronto. I'll come with you, Rafik, to help you communicate. Sohn jumps up at these words and exchanges a few phrases with Anaya, too rapid for me to follow. Rafik is struck dumb several seconds before he bursts out laughing. Give me a break, Anaya. Thanks, but I'd rather you stayed safe. I'll manage. I can't tell if he's saying that in like a nice way because obviously she's pregnant and like it's very risky, or if it's like, I don't know, maybe just because like he laughed at it that it seems a little like weird. I don't know how to really interpret that. Rafik turns to me. What do you think, Camille? It's up to me to go back. Rafik goes alone. We'll both go, or nobody's going. Oh, I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe it's better if Camille just goes back because I think he would probably be a little bit more stealthy. Slash, they also already will recognize him, and so it will come off as probably less of a threat, but I'm not really sure. Okay, let's just send Camille. It's up to me to go back, Rafik, and I'll go alone. I'm in a better position to communicate with them, and it's pointless risking your life as well as mine. Nora frowns. I take her hand, or I don't say anything. Let's take her hand. Nora, I'll need you to be ready to intervene if things go wrong. She sighs. You'd better be careful. At nightfall, we get ready. Nora comes with me as far as a rocky alcove in the hillside. The moonless night has plunged the dusty slopes into a deep shadow, but below us we can make out the glow of the refugee camp perimeter. I look down at the camp, worried but determined. I may believe that going down there alone is the best option, but I wouldn't say that I'm feeling very confident. I don't really know anymore if I'm the right person to make decisions for all of us, to be honest. Then I look at Nora, her eyes fixed on what's below, her brow creased in a frown. I can see in her face that hardened sense of self-confidence that has always captivated me, no matter the circumstances. It's been a long time since we've been alone together, even for a moment. That's true. I can't remember the last time. It was before we picked up Anaya and Sohn, I think. Nora, do you think I'm a good guide for our group, or silence? Okay, let's just go with the first one. Silence is a little boring. Nora puts her hand over my mouth to hush me for an instant. A guard saunters through the refugees below. We hold our breath. When he disappears into the other side of the camp, she looks at me, and with a gentle sigh, she says in a low voice, I can only speak for myself. I don't always agree with your decisions, you know that, but it would never even occur to me to question them, because I trust you, Camille. Because despite your self-doubt, you're wise, always, and you inspire me. Since the first time I looked into your eyes, I've trusted you, and you know it well. That's something that never happens to me usually. It's the first thing that made me love you. Oh, so sweet. And as for Anaya and Sohn, they made their choices knowing the risks. A choice that was theirs alone, not yours. But we've lost so many since we left, and I'm not sure I can handle more than just our core people. Do you remember, Nora? Do you? That crossing. Nora cuts me off, quieting me with a gesture. How are you to blame for all that, Camille? You did what you could for everyone. You're not responsible for everything that happens to us. She gazes at me, her eyes shining despite the lack of a moon tonight. I'm so incredibly lucky to be sharing the apocalypse with this woman. Oh my god, that's so cute. I think too much. You're right. I'm just nervous. About going. About leaving you. It's rare that I go ahead alone, but it's the only way, so we have to deal with it, as we've always done, and we'll be okay, as always. Go on. I'll cover you. If there's a problem, I'll grab Sam and meet you at the next village, as we agreed. As we agreed. I love you, you know. Of course I know. She rarely answers those 3 words that I say as much as I can, at least not with the same 3 words. She looks at me as she's doing now, in the night, and that's all. And that's enough. My heart overflowing, I plant a quiet kiss on her stretched out hand, and I hurry away. No more hesitation, no more thought. Oh god, I'm starting to get a little bit nervous. Maybe I shouldn't have sent him in alone. After an approach made difficult by the lack of light, I enter the camp. A group of refugees await me. One of them gives me a friendly wave and comes closer. Bruno, we've been waiting for you. Did you come alone? Shouldn't I have done? I nod, looking around myself. Oh god. Should I not have come alone? He shrugs. It's up to you. Come on, this way. He goes between 2 buildings. 3 others come with us. Their presence is slightly worrying, or I follow calmly. It's a little bit worrying why there's so many of you. I'm startled to discover an old stone structure behind the scraps of sheet metal. We enter an open-topped building. It takes me several minutes to realize that these are ruins of an old cloister. I don't know what a cloister is. I can still make out the square, lined with broken columns. A few fires have been lit around the garden. In the middle, a small group of people are gathered around the old man we'd met earlier. They watch us as we approach. I notice they're gathered around a large stone well. The faltering flames around the garden streaks the old man's ravaged face with pallid light. He begins to speak, his hoarse voice punctuated by his whistling breath. Welcome, Caminante. Take a seat. He nods at a space close to him. I sit down, observing the gathering, or what do you want, old man? Second second one is kind of rude, but it's just kind of funny, so I'm gonna pick it. Just to talk. We won't harm you. Oh, I guess it was more of like because he was feeling hesitant to go close. I'm not sure. I still keep my distance. The others seem calm and strangely attentive. I can't sense any menace towards me. Quite the reverse. The strange serenity that emanates from the place seems to appease hunger and fatigue a little. You know, there was a fine monastery here before. A majestic sacred place. There's nothing left but ruins, with a miserable camp on it, built by vandals. We meet here each night so that we don't forget. Forget what? Our humanity. Is there still water in this well? Who are these vandals you speak of? What's your story? I have to go now. Oh, I don't know if I'm allowed to pick all of them or not. Let's go with the first one, I guess. He shakes his head, murmuring something indistinct. Then he begins to speak more clearly. No, it was the cloister well, but it's dried up. I don't know what a cloister is. This was once a famous monastery, Santa Maria la Rio. There was an amazing fountain too, which ran with wine. Travelers could drink freely there, according to a very old custom. The old man lifts a dirty, twisted finger, broken in several places as he tells his story. The custom began thanks to a monk who handed out wine and food to the people and the pilgrims, unbeknownst to his less generous brothers. It was forbidden to do that, but each time his superiors tried to catch him in the act, the bread and wine would transform into wood and flowers, so it was never disproved. After his death, the fountain was built in memory of his generosity. As you might guess, we don't have any wine anymore, but we wish to respect the custom by offering you what we do have to drink and eat. What do you mean? You want nothing in return? No, it's a gift. He waves his hand and several people step forward to lay down bundles clearly containing dry bread and some skins of water. I can't accept. You don't have to. He shrugs, indifferent, but I can see the way he stares, waiting for my reaction. I consider for a few seconds before I decide. These resources will be vital, thank you, or keep your supplies. You need them more than I do. I really honestly feel like they do need it more than me. I can't deprive you of your food and water. That would be criminal. We're already condemned here, you know. Too wary to flee, and what does tomorrow hold for us? So come with me then, old man. Gather the last of your strength and let's leave this place. I'll help you. He shakes his head. No, if all of us try to escape at the same time, we'll be too slow and easy to find. It's certain death for everyone. Oh. However, he feigns thinking it over. Yes. However, a few of us could leave with you. Jose, Bruno, and Luisa are able to walk and carry some weight. 3 people detach themselves from the crowd and nod to me. They certainly look younger and healthier than the others. You can get them out of here. Maybe find a way through the mountains. It's impossible? Fine, okay. I don't really want to leave him though. You'd have nothing to live on here. I can't accept that sacrifice. He shrugs sadly. A pity. Take us, please. We can walk. We'll help. Oh, okay, sorry. I think I misinterpreted the impossible option. I thought it was like, it's impossible like for us to leave without him. Oh, okay, I see. I meet her imploring gaze. I sigh. My mind's made up. It's no. I give in. I don't mind taking these 3. It was more so like, okay, anyways, yeah. So let's say I give in. I see. Very well. He nods, satisfied. A hint of a smile hovers on his chapped lips as Jose, Bruno, and Luisa share out the bundles. A respectful murmur runs through the gathering. I think I hear words of thanks. A metallic sound suddenly rips through the nocturnal silence outside the cloister. Everyone hushes and listens. The old man lifts a hand to calm them. It's still early. We still have some time before the first patrol. Who are these vandals you speak of? What's your story? Yeah, let's ask about the vandals. His face hardens. The brutes who keep us prisoners here, with almost nothing to survive on. Where did they come from? He shrugs. I don't know. Some were certainly military before. They were joined by others, vigilantes or hunters. Today, they're nothing but a gang of savages, better armed and more numerous than the others. They impose their will with violence, exploiting the weak and controlling the roads going north. Do they control all of the roads? How many are there? Yeah, do they control all the roads? It's hard to say. We were trapped in this camp trying to take one of them. I hope there are still ways to get through for you. Do they have a headquarters? Yes. I'd guess there are 2 or 3 more camps like this one on the road north. Their HQ is probably in the mountains near the pass. The pass? He makes gestures suggesting a passage, clearly a very steep one. Roncesvalles? Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. The name rings a bell, but it must be slightly different in French. An old woman speaks up behind me. Be careful. The night patrol will pass soon. You should be gone before that. I don't know exactly what she means by soon, but am I really prepared to take the risk of getting caught? Oh, I want to hear what his story is, but I don't want to get caught. Okay, let's just leave. I hurry, followed by Bruno, Luisa, and Jose. They've each brought a bundle and a few flasks of water. We make our way between the stone ruins before crossing the filthy camp. Thanks to their directions, we manage to quickly slip through without bumping into the sheet metal, right to the edge of the camp. Outside, the dark is as deep as ever. We move as silently as possible toward the hill. When we're a small distance from camp, Luisa hurries to catch up with me. Are you many? I can't see her face well in the gloom, but I can hear the unease in her voice. 6. That's not many. With you as well, it's starting to be a fair few. Yeah, why do you think it's not many? I feel like that is a decent amount. I don't know. I expected a bigger company, even a caravan. There were a lot more of us to start with. What happened? We split up before we crossed the ocean. One of the 2 men, Jose, joins the conversation. You didn't come across the Mediterranean? There were no more boats. Some of us wanted to try anyway, but my family and we went west to the ocean. Is there a way across that way? Not really. First we reached the Canaries, but we couldn't land. How is it over there? Very bad. Ports are devastated. The storms and the desert sand got there long before us. The air is full of dust. The heat is lethal, but you still made it. We were very, very lucky. You landed in Galicia then? Or Galicia? Yes, I think so. Land isn't really the word for it. The boat sank off the coast. Then we drifted on a leaking dinghy. It took days. days. When we finally reached land, we didn't know where we were. I remember the whole coast was overrun with crabs, blue crabs. We walk on in silence. At last, I see the shape of Nora coming toward us. She studies the 3 refugees who are with me. Everything all right? Yes, don't worry. Let's get to our camp if you don't mind. I'll explain everything there. She nods and we climb the hilltop together. Sam, Rafik, Naya, and Son are waiting for us, ready to leave in case of trouble. I make the introductions and quickly recount the events of the night to the others. We shouldn't hang about here. Rafik's right. When they notice the captives are missing, they'll come after us. Absolutely. Let's get going as fast as we can. Our steps lead us to an old asphalt road. The tarmac, cracked all over, would be completely impossible for a vehicle, but on foot, we manage to struggle forward, all of us stumbling regularly. Sam falls several times, but he picks himself up bravely. We have to press on fast to put as much distance as possible between us and the slave camp. The first light of day is showing when we see a huge structure across the road. It's a bridge, falling apart in several places. Nevertheless, the part that overhangs the road still seems to be solid. Seems safer to go around it anyway, or there might be stuff to pick up. Honestly, I feel like the cars probably would have been scavenged already, and the giant truck in the crack in the bridge makes me a little nervous, so let's just go around. The detour forces us to climb through the ruined asphalt and amongst the hulks of abandoned vehicles. I keep an eye on Sam, who is starting to wheeze. He seems hypnotized by the bridge structure. You okay, buddy? Yes, it's just... He gives his head a little shake. No, nothing. What's there, Sam? Can you tell us? They're people. People? Yes, like a walking crowd. Where? They're going under the bridge. Are there many of them? Yes. How many? I can't count them. They keep coming, all the way to the horizon. Rafik glances at me worried. Can you talk to them? I don't know. Do I have to try? Oh, I'd rather not, or I look at Rafik questioning. I feel like because he says, do I have to, it feels like maybe Sam doesn't want to. Otherwise, he probably would just do it, so maybe we'll say rather not. I don't know if that would like stress Sam out to try and do that. Rafik raises a hand, comforting. Camille, I don't think there's much risk in trying. Oh, okay. Well, I sigh. There's a little girl. She's lost her parents. I don't know where they are. I haven't seen them. She's asking where they are, but I don't know. Dad? Sam turns to me, panicked, his eyes full of tears, begging for help. I hurry to take him in my arms. Dad, and there's no one to look after her. Hey, calm down, my love. We're leaving. But I don't know where they are. Her parents? I don't know. He collapses in tears. Dad, I'm scared. I sweep my arm at the others to get the company moving, to get away from here as quickly as possible. I carry Sam, who continues to cry, into my shoulder. I don't want to be like her, Dad. I don't want to. Please. I don't know how to respond. Don't worry, we're not going to leave you alone. Yeah, let's comfort him a little. The words seem to comfort him a little. Oh, okay. There we go. I carry him until my arms can't take anymore. When I finally set him down, he starts walking without saying a word and remains silent for several more hours. I glare at Rafik. I try to cheer Sam up. Let's just cheer him up. For most of the day, we move through the desolate landscape. I would have liked to have got further away from the old road, but we need to keep following it if we're not to go astray. Around this vestige of deranged civilization, doped on hydrocarbons, nature has never been able to reclaim her right. The ground is nothing but rubble, rock, and dust. Oh, it's quite interesting. We've got so many people with us now. Like, I know we picked them up and everything, but I just, like, I don't know, I'm not used to it yet. When our path finally diverges from the road, we're exhausted, and the heat is becoming dangerous. I decide it's time to set up camp. We cross some softer ground, and I'm surprised to find the ruins of an old building on our left. The place is clearly deserted. There's a small field strewn with sunburnt vegetation, and there, in the middle of nowhere, a small chapel. We look around the place. It's an old stone building. The roof is partly gone, but we can still find a bit of shade. Above the doorway, there's a stone with inscriptions on it. I run my hand over the dust to try and decipher the lettering. Most of it's unreadable, but I recognize the word Ermita, or Ermita, a place of spiritual retreat. There must have been a water source close by. We need to lay down our packs for a while. Okay, Camp Ermita, or Ermita. I wish I could enjoy a moment of respite, but I'd hate to miss the chance of making a find that could be essential to our survival. The group gulps down some rations and gets settled in for a few hours. I take the time to make a quick inventory of the contents of our bags and to check in how tired everyone is. Jose is in particularly good shape and volunteers to explore the area. We're exhausted and starving. We won't hold out long at this pace. We have to make a decision. Oh, okay. I feel like we still should go on an expedition because we did kind of rest for a little bit and it does seem like we've got at least a couple of people that could go. I'm exhausted. Rafik is exhausted. Oh, okay. Yeah, we've got quite a few people we could send actually. Okay, I think I'm gonna send actually like everybody except for Anaya because I feel like the more people that go, probably the more stuff we can get, hopefully. But Anaya is still pregnant, so I feel like she should get some extra rest. Scavenging team is complete. The expedition hurries to explore the little stony plain. The unexpected discovery of an old cattle watering trough restores our spirit. Digging into the muddy earth, expedition is able to collect some water. Jose finds a shovel that lets us dig deep down and collect several liters of water. After filtering and boiling the precious liquid, we manage to almost completely fill our flasks. Fatigue finally catches up with us and we collapse onto our blankets. I'm awoken by an unexpected noise. Shouts, "Get up, quick, Rafik!" Rafik emerges from a doze. Sorry, Camille, I dropped off. As he's saying the words, he realizes, as I have, that there are people coming. His eyes widen. Shit. He jumps to his feet and starts gathering up his stuff, cursing himself for his carelessness. Oh, it's okay. There's no way you could have known. Come on, we're leaving right now. The panic spreads amongst all of us. I'm about to rush rush for the entrance, but Nora grabs my arm. She nods to a window in the north wall. Well spotted. Our exit will be better hidden from anyone coming from the road. I go through the ruined window frame first. Outside, the afternoon is coming to an end. I can clearly hear human voices on the other side of the building. There are 2 at least, probably more. I gesture at the others to hurry. There's no path, but I can guess we can keep going north with a bit of gymnastics over the steep rocks. I scout out the road to help the others get through without a hitch. I ask Nora to take the lead or Rafik. I feel like we should go because we're already out there, right? Sam follows me close, mindful of my advice. That allows us to gain a few precious seconds. Not long after, we hear loud exclamations. They found our camp. The time for discretion is over. I drop my bag to put Sam on my back and bolt as fast as I can. Several shots ring out. I pray that the meager cover provided by the rocks will be enough for no one to be hit. A bullet shatters a rock just next to my shoulder. If Sam's hit, everything's screwed. I couldn't go on without him. It wouldn't make any sense. His little hands locked around my neck don't prevent me from speeding up again. I leap between the rocks, trying to ignore the danger. The risk of making a misstep and breaking my bones on stone blocks seems trivial compared to the thought of losing Sam. Only Nora manages to keep up with me. The shooting starts again. I hear a cry close by. They've hit someone. I confess, I pray it wasn't Rafik. Nora and I have made enough distance to be out of range. I'm gasping for breath. Sam, can you run? Yes. I put him down and we keep running. We should be able to find the path again if we divert east a little. Rafik and the others are far behind. A few hundred meters to our right, I can see a ruined village and lights. I don't like the look of it. We're gonna lose the others if we don't wait for them. Yes, but we can't stay in the open either. There's an abandoned farm further on. I turn to Sam, incredulous. How do you know? I don't say anything and I exchange glances with Nora. Yeah, let's just ask. He doesn't answer, but points the direction. It's this way. Sam pulls on my hand. After a few detours, we do in fact arrive at a dilapidated old farm. The torn open grain silos in the north side of the building leave little doubt to the possibility of finding anything to eat or drink, but at least we'll be out of sight. Collapsing stone has left gaping holes in the walls. Sam, are you okay, buddy? I'm gonna watch out for Rafik. Let's check on Sam first. He nods, but I'm not convinced. Did he know about this place? No. How did he know we could hide here? He shrugs. I don't press him. I take him in my arms and he snuggles against me without saying any more. From where we're sitting, I can see the road. I rock Sam gently as I watch for Rafik. A few minutes later, with relief, I see our friend appear, silhouetted against the setting sun. Oh, what a nice shot. He's alone and moving carefully. He's alone, but it shows there's so many people with him. Carrying both his own pack and mine, he must have picked up as he passed. Maybe I was supposed to say he's not alone. His heavy stumbling steps reveal his deep exhaustion. I leave our shelter and wave to him. When he reaches us, without a word, Rafik throws my pack at my feet. I look into his eyes. I can feel his sadness, his dismay, and his anger. I hug him. I pick up my bag. Oh, let's give him a hug. I wonder why he's mad. Like, just mad in general or mad at me for dropping my bag? I hug him. He stiffens at first, but I know it has to come out, so I take him in my arms. He doesn't sob, but I can see the silent tears that run down his cheeks, and he relaxes a little. Thanks for the bag. Finally, he slaps me on the shoulder. Then he sighs and slumps down near Nora. The 2 refugees are ready to drop. Yeah, okay, so everyone is with him. That's a relief. I think it was probably just a little mistake before with the text saying he was alone. They fall lengthwise on the dusty floor and rummage through their bundles of water. Fuck, how did they catch up with us? I don't understand. With the heat, they can't have moved that fast. Do you think they've got a vehicle? That's possible, or they're not the same people? I feel like it is probably the same people, just a really big group, maybe? Sure, let's go with the vehicle. What kind of vehicle? A car. Or a truck, maybe? The idea seems to fill Sam with wonder. He knows the words, but he's never seen a working motor vehicle. Do you think there's petrol left somewhere? I shake my head. It's unlikely. Maybe they're using bicycles. Camille, bicycles? Seriously? Rafik and Anaya burst out laughing. Sorry, I was just imagining a fleet of tandems. I'd put my money on a go-kart squad. I hadn't thought of go-karts. Nora starts laughing too. Laugh away. Still, it could be true. But her laughter quickly turns into sobs. We're all cracking up. I glance at the refugees. Did they get Louisa? Rafik gives a bleak nod. Oh, I didn't even notice that she wasn't here. Because there was just so many of us, I just didn't really notice there was somebody missing. I don't know what to say or think anymore. I let my head fall back, knocking my skull several times against the wall I'm leaning back on. The little flashes of pain help me cling on to reality, to the here and now. Anyway, we have to keep going. Try to get out of their territory as fast as we can. We need to cross the mountains. I glance through a hole in the wall opposite to me, at the mountainous terrain that awaits us in the coming days. The pass that the map shows us at could be at 1,000 meters altitude. The summits are gray, devoid of snow. It's a long time since the glaciers melted and didn't have time to reform during the rare cold spells. We'll have to find some warm clothing. They look at me puzzled. They think I've lost my mind. It's at least 40 degrees outside, Camille. They don't know. They've never known the cold. We're going to start the ascent. In a few days, we'll be up there. I point to the dark summits that disappear into a yellow hazed sky. At that altitude, I think temperatures can still drop pretty low, especially at night. We need to adapt what we're wearing. And how do we equip ourselves? I don't know. We have to find something. I don't know. Because we already kind of established that this area was kind of like didn't have much of anything, so I don't really know where. Rafik adds in a reassuring voice. We've got a few days to find something. I give Rafik a look of thanks. There's a dialogue between us that only we can understand. Thanks, old pal. They need hope and reassurance, but I can't do it anymore. Yeah, well, move your ass now. I can't keep this hokum up for much longer. Neither of us has spoken a word, but everything's been said. We take a few minutes to drink a little and gather our strength. Then I announce it's time to go. We pick up the big road again. Its course, perfectly straight, cuts through dreary swaths of emptiness. The evening light gives a surreal quality to the strange prospect. After some time, I spot the remains of a single modern construction. I point it out to Rafik. What's that? A gas station, I think. As we carefully approach it, it becomes obvious that the building and its surroundings were ravaged by fire. Clearly they're closed. Did you want to fill your tank? What does that mean? Fill your tank. Fill up the fuel of your vehicle. There are cars everywhere here. Did everyone have one? Yes, and sometimes more than one. More? What for? One for each family member? To show everyone else how rich you were? I mean, depending on the person, it could be either or. Though not everyone necessarily even has a car, but I feel like usually one for each family member if you do have more than one. But didn't the family travel together? Not always. Oh yeah, because I guess just Sam, we've always traveled together as a family. But he might not really know the way of the modern world was, I guess. Sam's pensive. How fast could you go with it? Very fast. Faster than Dad? Faster than the wind. I guide the company around the gas station, keeping a good distance away. I've noticed the characteristic shapes of human corpses, and I don't really want to add those bleak visions to Sam's imagination. We're coming up to a big city. Yep, there's probably another way. Isn't there anything on the map? No, there's nothing marked, but I think we should be able to go around it by the south. I think we should try to go through. I think we should probably go around it. I agree. Going near the city is too risky. Sam takes my hand as if to reassure me. You're right, we mustn't go that way. Dad, please, we mustn't go. Alright, buddy, we'll go around. Why do you say that? Yeah, why do you say that? Sam's trying to creep me out, but I also know it's because of the little ghosty lads that he's saying. The people, they all come from there. They're all dead. I take Sam in my arms and rock him gently, like when he was tiny. Don't worry, we're gonna stay far away from the city, okay? He nods bravely. The sky stays clear and we have no trouble continuing despite the darkness. This region must have been used for large-scale farming at another time. Today we cross arid lands swept by burning winds. Even though we stay away from the first signs of urbanization, there are more and more hulks of cars lining the way. I keep an eye on Sam, who's looking very nervous again. I try to think of something to take his mind off things. We have to find a way to wash your hair. Oh, I can't even get my fingers through it anymore. And to wash all of you, actually. With sand again? It would be more effective if we could rinse you a bit. Yes, I'd like to have a bath. Do you remember your last real bath? Yes, it was a long time ago. I was 3? 5 actually. Oh, but it feels like it was a long time ago. Because it was a long time. For you. And for you? I'm surprised by his question. Well, it's gone faster for me. Why does it go faster for you? I don't know, to be honest. Because your heart beats faster. Is that true? I don't know. Maybe it's a question of proportion to your total age. Camille? Nora grabs my arm and pulls me back. I search for the reason for her sudden panic. She points at some ruins about 100 meters ahead of us. I don't understand immediately. Go back, quick. As alarm takes hold of our little company, a group of armed men emerges from the place Nora had pointed out. Oh, there's quite a few. We turn round at once and I start running, pulling Sam by his arm. As we're trying to reverse our steps, I discover with horror that more armed men are coming up the path toward us. We're trapped. Shit, this way. I leave the road and guide the company across the plain. The vegetation is sparse, but there's still enough thorns and branches to tear at our skin. However, as I'd hoped, the field is still crossed with deep furrows. We barely crossed a few meters when the first shot rings out. Get down. I throw Sam into a furrow and lie over him. We hear a few more shots, then nothing more. Nora? Oh, thank God. Camille. She's just to my left. Sam's here. He's alright. Rafik? Fuck. He's somewhere behind us. I don't have time to think. I have to do something. The only idea that comes to mind is stupid, but I've got no choice. Oh my God, he's gonna sacrifice himself, isn't he? No. Come on. Nora, I'm gonna try something. Don't even think about following me. Go east. I'll find you later. What? Camille, no. I give the map to Nora. I give the map to Sam. I'm gonna give it to Sam just in case they get separated, because I feel like Nora would probably have the common directional sense, whereas Sam might not. Sam, take this. I put the map in his hand. Dad, I don't want to. I have to force him to take it. Listen, I'm gonna start running. You stay well hidden. It's hard to speak. He's in tears. I'm sorry, my little love. Little love, but you have to listen to me. Listen, as soon as you hear shooting, you crawl that way. I point to the east. When you're far enough away, near that hill there, you can get up and start running too. Dad, I'll catch up with you later, okay? Dad, please, you promised. My baby, my little one. Take good care of your mother. I kiss him, surely for the last time. Surely? Really? I don't even have a chance? Dad, you promised not to leave me. And I run north. How much time do I have left? A second? A few seconds? More? Maybe unending hours of agony? I have to gain them at least a few minutes. That's all I ask. So I run. We haven't eaten in days. I gather the last of my strength to get myself underway. I hear the shouts of our pursuers, and I pray that the dark works in my favor. Jumbled memories of my childhood surface. The school playground. I was happy. We were happy. We could feel the end coming. The end of what we'd later call the thermo-industrial age. The Western world jolted from crisis to crisis, from conflict to conflict, from pandemic to pandemic. But we had inherited centuries of energy domination, and we had quality of life much better than the rest of humanity, especially compared to those who directly suffered the consequences of the climate change, the change that we had mostly caused. The irony. But me, I had no conscience yet. I went to school, my days ordered by time in class and recess. In the playground, I was the fastest, unbeatable in a game of tag. I loved it, running. I've always loved to run. A bullet zips past my shoulder. Oh God. Okay, so you actually have to choose where you go. Can this change the course? Oh my God. Okay, let's go right. I don't know if it matters the order. And I'm up and running again. I hear a second shot, then a third. There's a sharp pain in my left leg, but I can still run. Oh, did we get shot? Maybe it's serious and only adrenaline is keeping me upright. I don't know. No time to check. Sometimes, often even, I think to myself that it's how things should be. The end of humanity. We are simply not a viable species. A poorly designed organism that propagates unchecked and destroys the conditions that favors its own existence. I mean, that's pretty true. There's nothing left but to wait for the end of this mass extinction, and then a few more years of additional evolution, and there you go. Only next time, you have to hope that the dominant species doesn't repeatedly shoot itself in the foot, along with the rest of the biosphere. Oh, I'm not the only one to have thought that. A wave of ideas like that one spread out in my circle when I was a teenager. Extinction Submission, I think it was called, but I didn't entirely share their convictions back then, and I share them even less now that I know Sam. Another bullet ricochets off a rock on my right. Oh god, you have to choose it multiple times? Okay, well if there was a shot on the right and we went right the first time, then maybe we'll go left. And I keep running, trying to go faster still. I almost joined the other side. The ones who wanted to fight, to struggle against extinction, still convinced that with a little more respect for the living, we could have a place on this planet. But very quickly, the injustice of the situation became unbearable to me. I couldn't accept the idea that every year, already fragile peoples should endure more drought and more famine because of our civilizations. I had to act. So I signed up with an organization to come to the aid of the countries hit by the disastrous consequences of climate change, and I decided to get out in the field. The day I left, Dad said to me, "You've got the courage I always lacked, and I'm proud of you. But Camille, my love, I prefer you stay here." I still left, of course. Even so, I admit it's still plausible, that extinction theory, when you see just how dumb we can be. It's a curse to be able to be so dumb and still be able to realize how dumb you are. The irony. Oh god, okay. I'm really glad that he made it out alive, and I just hope that whatever his shot was isn't fatal. Yes, in a way, I know we'll have deserved it. Our harsh extinction. Only, there's Nora. So beautiful, it often makes me cry, even in secret sometimes. Glorious, even in her shortcomings. And Sam. Sam, my last hope for humanity. Alright, so now we are on to chapter 4, Camille. We are the forest. The shooting has stopped. They're out of range. As for me, I'm winded, but against all odds, I'm still alive. I need a few minutes to recover. I drink a few mouthfuls of water from the flask on my belt and check the condition of my leg. Running my hand over my thigh, I realized it's covered in blood. I think it's superficial, but I don't have time for further examination. After tying on a makeshift bandage, I set off again. They'll come after me for sure, especially when they see the blood. It's gonna be a long night. The terrain slopes steeply. I'll try and lead them a few more kilometers north before heading back southeast. I can't even consider the thought that Sam and Nora didn't get away. If they didn't, there's no point in me going on. So I decide that they're fine, and I simply hope I'll manage to find them. Nora, my Nora. I know you'll do what's right. You always do what's right. I remember the first time we met. I'm trapped between 4 walls, waiting for death. Nothing left to say, nothing left to hope for. Only sharp pangs of pain within a grey mass of suffering remind me, from time to time, that I'm alive. Why aren't I dead already? I don't know. They didn't know what to do with me. A foreigner, anarchist, anti-militarist, and infidel. Even so, they tortured me, just in case. Weeks of unspeakable horror, which seemed to endure longer than all the rest of my life. And then, one day, when they'd realized that I in fact wasn't a spy, that I didn't know anything useful, they put me there, in a hole of sand and stone. I lost all notion of time. Existence was nothing but a series of meaningless moments, punctuated by pain and nightmares. Sometimes, I managed to lose myself in memories of my parents and my little sister, back in their home, our home. The distant images of that house, scented with paradise. I take refuge there, or I focus on a way to escape. Let's say we take refuge there. I'm kind of curious as to what that is about. But the images are fragile. They vanish when I try to get closer. I'm too filthy to touch those memories of humanity and tenderness. I stink of death and piss. Compelled to plunge into gluttonous, dense darkness of the human soul, I'm too foul to risk soiling the memories of those I love. It's all that's left to me. The noise of the rusty lock reverberates, deafening. The door opens. I've learned to fear this moment. The blinding light is like the lash of a whip. I scurry into a corner of my cell and I whimper. I don't move. There's no point. I feel like at that point you probably would just react in that way, that you would just try to move away. Gripped by dread and ashamed of what I've become, I wait to be grabbed, dragged through the dust to new and drawn out torments. For pity's sake, let me die here, in my own filth, like a rat. Yes, I'll be a rat, but leave me alone. I'd do anything if they would forget me for a few days, a few hours more. There are 2 of them. Their silhouettes loom starkly, almost painfully in the doorframe. One is familiar, my usual torture. I can't repress another recoil. I'm huddled against the wall. If only I could melt into it, or at least cling to it. But the dry, gritty stone offers no hold to my torn nails. Oh, it's Nora. The other figure is different. Taller, more slender. She moves towards me with, I don't know, a look, a stance, something that calms me a little. I watch her. I tell her not to come closer. I'm just gonna pick I watch her. I feel like maybe I'm kind of cheating because I know who it is. It's a young woman. She's wearing the traditional clothing of the desert travelers, but her long hair overflows with the wild freedom, which jars violently within my cell. An insolent scent of independence suddenly fills the room. Her eyes, blazing black, watch me without anger or hate for a few seconds. Everything about her astounds me, but but her grace, especially, rekindles old embers in me that I thought were extinguished forever. Hope, dignity, life. What am I supposed to do with this mess? She's talking about me. She speaks Arabic with an accent I don't know. Zaid? Or Zaid? He's a foreigner, but he's whole. He'll make a good slave. A foreigner. I don't want him. Find another way to pay me. We don't have anything else. You've got camels. The guy thinks quickly. You can have a camel. 2. No. Impossible. Too bad. In that case, you'll find another route. She turns to leave. Wait, I'll give you 1 camel and this foreigner too. She sighs and comes back toward me. She squats down and stares into my eyes. Her impenetrable gaze makes me think of firebrands, ready to ignite everything that may still be inside me. I force myself to breathe. The other has stayed by the door. He cannot see the wordless exchange taking place between her and me. Her softened face and the quiet smile she offers before she stands up belong to us alone. The camel and the foreigner, as well as the skins of water and the fuel we agreed on. He groans, but accepts the deal. A few minutes later, I'm attached to the aforesaid camel, forced to walk in the sand beneath the still sweltering heat of the end of the day. Magnificent, she sits astride the animal, her gaze fixed on the horizon. I suppose the panniers hanging from the beast's rump are full of water, and I swallow painfully. I can scarcely catch my breath despite the camel's slow plod, but I still manage to ask between gasps, "Are you one of the old desert people?" She turns to me and smiles again. She opens a flask and makes me drink several mouthfuls before asking me, "What's your name, foreigner?" I feel like I'm reborn as I feel the precious liquid flow down my throat. Camille. Camille? No, Camille. I prefer Camille. I shrug. Let's go with Camille, perhaps, but my name is Camille. I'm just gonna pick the second one. She gives me a cryptic smile. Very well, Camille. We pass several sand dunes in silence, and suddenly she stops and climbs down from her mount. We're no longer in view of the camp where I was held prisoner. You can ride in my place. I'm going to walk for a while. I watch in dismay as she unties my bonds. Aren't you worried I'll run away? She smiles. There are plenty of things I worry about, foreigner, but you running away is not among them. She helps me climb up the camel before continuing. You don't know where you are. You don't know the desert. You wouldn't survive more than a few hours. Running away would be really stupid. She gives me an enigmatic half smile and gets the animal standing. And I'm sure you're not stupid. The movement of the camel is much bumpier than I expected. After a few minutes, I start to retch. We need to take a break. She watches me and begins to laugh. What's more, you've never ridden a camel. I plead guilty. At her command, the animal stops. She helps me climb down and offers me the water flask again. This time, my hands are free and I drink all I need. She lets me. My name's Nora. Nora? I shrug, taking the last mouthful. That's fine. You can be Nora. I prefer Laura. Yeah, why not? Let's tease her back a little. She laughs again, briefly, but genuinely. You're funny. Oh, they're so cute. I really like their dynamic. This is not really how I expected them to meet, but it's very interesting. When the burning sun sinks beyond the horizon, the temperature drops a few degrees. She folds down her hood and ties back her long black hair. I'm hypnotized by her movements. She turns to me. I try to hide my admiration, but I can see she's not fooled. Are you ready to go? I think so. She adjusts the saddle cleverly to create an additional place. I'll ride with you to show you the right movements. At her command, the animal kneels to let us climb onto its back. Oh, this is very pretty. Very, very sweet. She leans against me between the hump and the neck. When the camel stands, she puts her arms around me to guide my movement. I feel her body against my back. The quiet strength that emanates from her reconciles me a little with life, like a thread building itself timidly, strand by strand. You stink. Being thrown into a pit for months tends to have that effect on people. We're just sorry. I feel like let's go ahead and pick the first one, I guess. My remark makes her smile. I've heard about your people. Oh yeah? You live in the desert, in a place that's uninhabitable. That's true. No one can cross the desert without your say-so. You attack the caravans, and you drink the blood of your victims. Everyone fears you. She laughs again. Her voice has an enchanting way of breaking a little at the end of her breath. The sound reminds me of waves thrashing against a wild coast. No, we don't drink blood. At least, not much. I lift my eyebrow, trying to detect a hint of humor in her voice. But the rest is true. How do you manage to survive without food and water? Why did you free me? What are you gonna do with me? Oh god. Let's ask the second one. I didn't free you. I bought you. Oh, I guess that's true. Before I've had a chance to consider this remark, she continues. I've heard about your people too. You don't even know where I'm from. They said you were French. Okay, you know where I'm from. They say you still have trees and rivers, forests, animals, and rainwater. They exaggerate. When I was a child, maybe, but now, I don't know. Things have changed so much in so little time. When I left, all that had already started to disappear, as much because of the stupidity and stubbornness of men, as because of the climatic conditions, for that matter. I heard that you were hit hard by sickness too. Yes, that's true. You haven't been spared much here either, but where I come from, everything was organized around heavily populated big cities, even more than here, so they are extremely vulnerable to epidemics. I'm worried about my family. You haven't heard from your people? No. I'm thoughtful for a minute. I hope you're alright. Dad, Mom, Romaine. Okay, so Romaine is probably the younger sister then? Between the wars, the viruses, the natural disasters, and the energy shortages, our means of communication have been insidiously cut off. At first, it was the internet and the cell networks that broke down. Then, the more and more frequent power outages made the other machines inoperable. And finally, even the antique radios sent out nothing more than white noise. I completely lost connection with my family long ago. I know a little French. She tells me in my mother tongue. I'm astonished. I understand. I speak a little, but I can mostly read it. How? She shrugs. My mother wanted me to learn a foreign language French. And you chose French? Yes. I discovered a fondness for Christelle de Troyes. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce. I'm confused. But why? I was looking for a way to escape. When I was a girl, my life was made up of wars, sickness, horror. I needed to dream. And Christelle de Troyes made you dream? She's suddenly amused by the memory. Let's say it transports you, especially in Old French. For as long as Blossman the Trays. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce any of this. What fair babble, gentle dame? She laughs. Sirrah, 'tis most puzzling in remembrance. 'Tis not fair, wondrous to me, thus shookens by this camel. Her laughter is infectious, but I'm swiftly bent double more in pain than laughter. Are you alright? More or less. I thought dying of laughter was just an expression. The night brings cooler air, but the wind is quiet, and the sky bright enough for us to keep going without concern. I'm exhausted, broken, but I can breathe again, at last. Okay, so we do get to ask her other questions as well. Yeah, sure, let's go ahead and ask about food and water. We have both. Not much, but enough for us. I can't conceal my surprise. But how? That's our secret. There's a silence in our conversation. What are you gonna do with me? She doesn't answer straight away. A chill runs through me. I'm gonna sacrifice you and drink your blood. I glance at her, and with relief see her mischievous smile. Very funny. You're going to work for me. You'll have food and water. Here I am, a slave. After everything I lost in that squalid hole, I'm finally out, but still not free. And most importantly, yes, you'll have something to wash with. She jumps nimbly from our mount and takes the bridle to lead us in a new direction. I see rocky mounds in the distance. Okay, so I guess we are back in current day now. A thick yellow fog fell at dawn. Visibility is non-existent, but it's cooler. So much the better. I'll lose less water. I buried myself in a charred old forest. Most of the blackened trunks are still standing, but threatening to collapse at any moment. From time to time, dead trees topple down, one taking the others with it, like dominoes. The racket sometimes lasts for minutes. Bleak sounds like long creaking whines, ending in a final cluster of deafening crashes. In the light of day, I can see that my wound is, in fact, superficial. A bullet must have grazed my leg. That's great news. Still, the skin is badly torn and I've lost a lot of blood. I've resolved myself to use some of my water to clean the wound, but I've got nothing to disinfect it. I won't delude myself. I'd rather not think about it. I use some ash to clean the wound. Oh, sure. Does that work? I don't know if I've heard of that. I've got a vague memory that wood ash is supposed to have antiseptic properties. Very interesting. Alright. So I focus on getting a handful without debris in it, which I mix with a little water to clean the gash. After I've taken a breather and retied my bandage, I use a rocky overhang where I've ended up to take a look behind me. It doesn't take long to spot my pursuers. Oh, they're still following us. Less than a kilometer behind me, they're crossing the ashes with no attempt at concealment. The crackle of dead wood, crushed beneath their boots, reverberates through the valley. I could try to lose them, but I'd rather keep them on my tail as long as possible. Trying to ignore the pain, I continue my run between the dismal shapes of the dead trees. I've covered my nose and mouth to avoid breathing in too much ash, even if it's probably futile. As I make my way through the dreary, monotonous landscape, I let my mind wander again. Oh, this is much more relaxing. We walked until the first light of day. The nights aren't as cold as they used to be, and the days, meanwhile, have become deadly. I know we've been lucky with the weather. Most of the time, travel at night is difficult because of the storms and lack of visibility. Nora fed me through the journey, but I'm still just the shadow of a human being, broken, sprawling on a camel's back. That good creature has carried me through a maze of steep canyons. The sand has long since given way to dry rock, but the beast's long legs continue to move on easily and steadily, with impressive confidence. Just as I'm on the point of collapse from exhaustion, we reach the edge of a troglodyte village. I don't know what that means, sorry. A few people emerge from openings in the cliffside and come to meet us. I watch the villager. I focus on the structure of the village. I'm gonna say I watch the villagers because I kind of want to see what that's about. They greet Nora with enthusiasm and respect. I'm not familiar with their dialect, and I can't understand their rapid discussions at first. I notice they pay scant attention to me, more interested in the water and fuel that we've brought. One man hovers near us, broad-shouldered, with great rough hands. Oh, is this Rafik? Oh, that's so cool. His sun-weathered face still has a youthful air. He talks happily with Nora. Once I get used to the accent, I begin to understand a little of what they're saying. Yeah, I quite like how they kind of color code the characters so you can actually kind of tell who everyone is without even having known their names yet. What brings you back? Water, oil, and a foreigner. He glances at me. I'm too tired to react. I thought we had enough slaves for a few years. She shrugs. This one seemed special. Special? What's that supposed to mean? He looks at me more carefully. I see. Nora lifts an eyebrow. I see, you see. And suddenly they start laughing. He'll have to be washed and dressed. Yep. You want me to take care of it? She pats him on the shoulder. Thanks for the offer, Rafik, but trust me, I can handle it. Nora is going to wash me? As you wish, oh Amira. Amira? Rafik. I don't know what Amira is. Let's go with that. My voice is a pathetic croak. Oh, you can talk. Rafik comes closer to me, smiling. He jerks his chin at Nora. Amira, because she's the eldest daughter of the matriarch. Oh, right, okay. Well, let me introduce Rafik, the only one who still thinks that matters. Yeah, I'm a traditionalist. What can you do? That's the way I am. Yeah, right. I don't really understand their quarrel, but Nora turns to me with a conspiratorial look, and an outpouring of emotion keeps me alert a little longer. Don't listen, Camille. Camille. My name's Nora, just Nora. He pats me on the leg without any malice, but I can't help whimpering in pain when his hand directly meets my femur with almost nothing in between. Oh god. Whoa, you could do with some fattening up. Rafik looks amused as he says it, but despite that, I can discern a real concern for my health. What is this place? Who are these people? Then I pass out. A painful fall drags me roughly from my memories. The ground is treacherous, and I've slid into some kind of ash-filled ditch. I bumped into several brittle branches as I fell, making a hell of a racket. Winded, I remain bent over in pain for some time. I check all my limbs are working properly, or I get up as fast as I can. Yeah, maybe let's check on our limbs, just in case. This isn't a good time to break something. Breathe, Camille. It'll be okay. It had better be okay. I'm about to leave, but I stop to check around me. The ditch has rolled me into a small trench, flanked by dead trees on one side and a rocky mass on the other. Simply continuing north seems like the most natural decision. It's the ideal spot to change direction. I hastily break off a few branches and leave some obvious traces of my path to the north. I even roll up my bandage to leave a few drops of blood. Then I retrace my steps and head southeast, taking the time to carefully erase my tracks this time. I have to climb a bit, but if my plan works, I'll be okay for a while. I'll soon know. In the meantime, there's nothing to do but keep going. Once I'm past the biggest obstacles, I keep climbing the gentle slope, relieved to have properly shaken them off. I return to my memories. Those that follow my meeting Nora are among the best of my life. Several months have passed. I have to admit, I'm treated decently, even like an equal, most of the time. Of course, I don't decide my daily tasks, nor choose a partner freely, nor can I leave the village. I look for a way to get my freedom back. I do what I must to survive. I feel like because it's Camille, he would probably just do what he has to survive. Belonging to Nora gives me a privileged status in a way. The fact that from time to time she invites me to her bedroom is an open secret, and everyone tactically treats me as her official partner, or at least as her current favorite. Uh-oh, okay. In the old days, slaves took care of all the chores, but today the clan has no more than 50 members, and the whole population helps with all the tasks, even the most tiresome. There's so much to do here. The recent history of these desert dwellers is woven with grief and hard choices, but in their misery, they've had unbelievable luck. At the back of the network of caves where they've settled, there's an underground water source. That day, I'm preparing the curd. Nora comes into the bare stone walled room. The air is dry, and the burning light from the outside reaches us through the hangings stretched across the openings. Have you finished repairing the irrigation for the millet? Yes, I finished yesterday. To tell the truth, I was thinking of letting you die of hunger. Huh? I really don't know why you would choose that, so I'm just gonna pick the first one. It's working again. She sits down next to me and helps me prepare the cheese. I say to her in a playful voice, "Are you sure you want to lower yourself to doing this slave's work?" She smiles at me. It's a long time since the caste or caste system fell. Still, I know that among these once nomadic people, there's a certain repugnance when it comes to taking care of the herds and the harvest. Nora especially excels outside. She's the finest hunter in the clan. That or flog the dead horse, she says in French. I laugh. Where did you find that expression? I read it somewhere. I don't remember the book, but I remember the expression. She starts to hum as she continues working. I listen to her song echo between the cave walls. Okay, I just want to listen. Each time, the sound of her voice brings me memories of the ocean and sea mist. No one here could understand that, not even her. They hide in these caves most of the time because the heat is so blistering in the day now. I'm the one here to have memories of wet coastlines beaten by sea winds. After a while, she turns to me, looking serious. I know that look. She wants to talk about things that are important for the clan. Not unusual for us to talk for hours. My opinion is heard, but I don't have the right to directly take part in the discussions with the matriarch. I think we're gonna free the slaves. I straighten up, intrigued. All of them? She nods and pushes a strand of her beautiful black hair back into her scarf. I notice that she exudes a spiced perfume today, probably from an oil that only she knows the secret of. Yes, they're clan members now. We work together for our own survival. Some will certainly want to leave. She shrugs and turns to me, challenging. Well, let them go. Does she fear that I want to leave? And what if they sell the secret? Your water source, even if there's hardly any left, will attract a lot of envy. And who will they sell it to? She's right. It's a long time since any human has been encountered on the edges of the desert. I know that we've had no news from the outside. Do you think we're all that's left? Camille, there's no one left for hundreds of kilometers around. They're all gone or dead. Her voice barely trembles. Even the snakes and the jackals are gone. I sigh. Do you still find spices and wild plants when you go hunting? She shakes her head. The nights are too hot. There's no more dew. We've been dipping into our reserves for 3 years now. That's a long time. Oh my god. What are you gonna do? We're gonna have to leave. I feel like we're gonna have to leave, to be honest. Of course I know. She goes on working as she talks. Not long after you arrived, you warned us that the spring would run dry soon. Some people doubted your honesty and your motives, but now you'd have to be blind not to see it. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. In any case, we were waiting for the time to start walking again. The journey and the songs. It will be a joyful occasion, you know. Nora, crossing the sands has become impossible now. You all end up dead. Don't underestimate us. Come with us. You'll see. If I came, do you believe the others would accept it? Yes, especially if you marry me. Surprise renders me speechless. While I'm trying to grasp that she's just proposed to me, she continues. Whether you accept or refuse, you should know that you will be a free man. Oh, yeah, that's really good to add. If you want to leave alone, I'll go with you to the edge of the desert. I try to bear her smoldering gaze. The bewitched hold she has over me since the first day has only strengthened. thinned. The thought occurs to me that I'm a victim of the so-called Stockholm syndrome, but it seems such a ridiculous, quaint notion that a chuckle escapes me. Huh? I mean, I suppose it could be. I guess I'm just more so surprised that he says it like that. Obviously he wasn't free still or anything like that, but it kind of seemed like he was already infatuated with her from the beginning. I'm not entirely sure. She lifts an eyebrow. Your sense of humor is sometimes bewildering. Sorry, I was thinking of Stockholm syndrome. Oh, do you want to say that? I feel like that is, I don't know. Like, imagine someone proposes to you and you both like genuinely do actually like each other, even though obviously their situation is a little bit more complicated, but then you bring up Stockholm syndrome. That's not. Let's just say sorry. What were you thinking about? I was wondering if we really had any choice deep down. She sweeps the question away with a wave of her hand. Of course you do, if you say so. I let myself be submerged by the intoxicating scent of her hair and the curve of her lips. Beneath her skin, I can feel the contained power of her lithe body. Sorry, I don't know what that word is. As our movements merge together. Nora, yes? I know the war took a heavy toll on the men of the clan, but there are still some left of marriageable age, and I know every one of them would be delighted to be in my place. Are you sure you want to marry a foreigner? But I don't want to marry a foreigner. Oh, it's this foreigner here that I want. She places her hand against my chest. She finishes speaking and kisses me again. And I would like you to be the father of our child, more officially, in everyone's eyes. Oh, so they've already had the child at this point? Or maybe she's just pregnant? This time I sit down. I knew that this has to be her intention for a long time, of course, but that's it. You're expecting a child. Okay, so he hasn't had the child yet. Sorry, it's a little confusing. She nods. With the spring running out and everything else, you think it's a good idea? She laughs. It's a bit late to ask that now, don't you think? You're right, sorry. I take her in her arms. She nestles against me. Preparing the departure will take us more than a year. If our child survives, I'll be ready to travel when it's time to leave. I think I'd like it. Preparing the departure? No, marrying you. I kiss her smile. We're happy. Okay. Mood shift immediately. This is the end. Every step is torture. I've been moving all day. Temperature having become more bearable. I've even been able to keep going until evening. Several times. I've stopped to check for signals of pursuit, but I've seen nothing. I think I've managed to lose them. And about time, because I'm beat. The mist hasn't lifted. The columns of ash have gotten further apart as I reach a rocky overhang. The air is still full of soot, but the ground is firmer underfoot. Wow, that kind of rhymed. I have to rest for a few hours at least. The bleak lines of gray expanses are broken by outcrops of pale stone. The shape of them like the husks of gigantic improbable beasts. I get closer to one of them. It's huge. I touch the cool surface of the stone. There's something soothing in the contact. The fatigue is playing tricks on me. It's as if I hear a song, a muffled lament that rises deep in the heart of the earth. Without even realizing it, I've sat down, leaning back against the rock. My eyes want to close, but I struggle against sleep a little longer. Okay, Camp Large Stone. I need to check my resources to think about the march ahead. I drank my last drop of water earlier. I have nothing to eat. If Rafik was here, he'd make fun of me and tell me that it's all very well having legs when you don't have a head. This time, I can't hold it off. My eyelids close. I think of my little angel, Sam. Oh, okay, another flashback? His cries drag me roughly from my sleep. He was sleeping peacefully until now. Did the hunger wake him? Or a nightmare, perhaps? In the shadow of our tent, I hurry, still half asleep, to his little bed. Oh, a little baby. He's still asleep, but crying. I kiss him and murmur gentle words to him. He quiets instantly, as if I'd whispered a magic spell. At the time, I imagined myself in the stead of those unfortunate parents who tried to allay the suffering of their doomed children. The tears well up. I understand their distress. I feel it in my guts and I'm shaken with sobs. We've seen so many horrors during our journey. Nora was right. Except for our small tribe, everyone is gone. And those who aren't gone are dead. Struck down by the heat or massacred by other men, or more slowly, by the torment of starvation. Some died clinging to the bodies of their children. I struggle to drive out these dark thoughts and pull my attention back to him. He's breathing calmly. He's fine. I lean a little closer to smell for any urine, but I can only smell his still clean blankets and his own smell. Soft but lingering. His odor. From him. I'm still dazed from lack of sleep, and I wonder how much longer we can give him this meager comfort. Water, milk, a soft bed, our arms to cradle him, and then I tell myself that even without all that, his scent will remain, and that I'll be just fine. I lie down again next to Nora. Oh, so sweet. She welcomes me with a sleepy mumble that sounds vaguely like a thank you. I take her hand gently and plant a soft kiss on it. She falls back to sleep. Nora's exhausted. In the space of 1 year, she's brought our child into the world, and at the same time, organized the clan's departure. She needs some months of complete rest. For my part, I'm happy to take care of the baby. The only thing I can't do myself is feed him. He often burrows his little face into my chest, seeking a feed. I make him wait by giving him my little finger dipped in some water. The other men laugh at me sometimes, but I don't care. But I do what I have to. I mean, I really don't think I would care when I don't think anyone should. It's a part of being a fucking parent. It's a task traditionally assigned to women, but Nora is a hunter, a warrior, and we have no wet nurse. The clan has a few children, but they've all been weaned long ago. The next evening, as the clan is ready to get moving again, I request Nora's help for another delicate task. Our child is gonna live, Nora. Samira. I'm holding the baby in my arms. He's babbling softly. She comes closer and watches his little face. He starts to smile. Yes, you take good care of him. It's time to give him a name, don't you think? High time. Yes. You remember, I wanted to call him Samira. I suppose you'd notice that he was a boy. No, but I'm sure he would be a girl. So just Sam. Yes. I look back down at him, trying to grab at his mother's hair. Sam. Oh, very sweet. I kind of wonder why Samira though, if that was like naming after somebody or maybe just like the name. Doesn't necessarily have to be a reason, of course. It's the cold that wakes me. I'd forgotten the sensation. I shiver, pulling the scraps of fabric I have onto my shoulders. A sharp pain in my leg pulls me all the way back to reality. I'm still leaning against the enormous, surreally shaped rock, but I have the feeling the landscape has changed. It's as if the rock and I moved during my sleep. How is that possible? The mist has lifted. I've slept all night. Or have I slept several days? I check the state of my leg. There's no point wasting time. I feel like you should definitely check the state of your leg. I take a look at the wound as I retie the bandage. With relief, I see that it hasn't gotten too much worse, but I'm gonna need some proper treatment soon. I manage to stand painfully, and I hobble between the strange angular forms of the mineral sentinels to a pass where I can find a breathtaking view. Below, there's a series of valleys. In the distance, high summits disappearing into pearly mantle of clouds. Once again, I'm captivated by the beauty of this adrift world. Truly, I never expected the end to be so magnificent. A terrible, fascinating, unpredictable beauty like that of the ancient gods, wrathful and capricious. My mother, who wasn't very religious, said somberly that Shiva's hand had come to stroke our heads, but her sister, Auntie Amma, had a whole heap of weird theories. She said that this was only the beginning of the Prologue? Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. And it would be another 1,000 years before humanity would be completely wiped out. Remember her depiction of the apocalypse? I remember that made my father smile. Maybe the father smile would be a nice memory? He said that it was a bit too easy to adjust one's beliefs according to how scientific observations have converged. He also said that there have always been prophets of the apocalypse, and that after all, even a stopped clock is right twice a day. I wonder what you'd think, Sam. I never told you about Auntie Amma, and I told you so little of my parents. Soon I'll find you again, my little angel, and we can talk. But first, I'll hold you tight in my arms a long time, a very long time. As I look over the land, trying to see the best path I can take, I notice a strange phenomena. In the valley, spiky with the gloomy shapes of burnt trees, there's a large grove that's still green. Oh yeah, I didn't even notice it right here. That's interesting. Green? That's impossible. My eyes are playing tricks on me. I blink several times. It's still there. Green like moss, like life, death, hope, green. It must be the hunger giving me hallucinations. I have to get closer to be sure, in any case I've got other priority. Oh no, I really want to see, to be honest. It's not a big detour, considering the direction, which I'm guessing is southeast. I quickly figure out a passable route, which seems to head that way. I head down a small slope, continuing to wonder about the curiosity. Where did it go though? Maybe it was a hallucination, I don't know. The ground is flat at the beginning, and I move fast, but after a few kilometers, I start tripping over blackened branches and roots hidden under a carpeting of ashes, and the terrain starts to climb again, making the task even harder. I follow the remains of some fencing, which seems to have bounded old pastures. There are even a few electric pylons and the remnants of ruined housing. I enter some of them, carefully, in search of medicinal supplies, but there's nothing in them but dust and sometimes skeletons, human and bovine, crammed in for want of anything better. When I reach the top of a small hill, I check my position in relation to the grove. I'm starting to find it right ahead of me, a few hundred meters away. What is going on? That's strange. I was sure it would be on my left. Could I have gotten the wrong hill? Puzzled, I check my direction. I continue towards the grove. I kind of just want to see what happens. I probably made an estimation error due to fatigue. Yeah, surely. It happens, but I need to be careful from now on. It would be easy to get lost in the middle of these gray expanses. That is a lot of trees. I'm moving cautiously towards the leafy mass, the color of which is, now I can see it, closer at hand, decidedly green. When I stop, stunned, the grove is moved. It's as if it was moving slowly to the east. I shake my head. This time I'm fairly certain I'm losing my mind. We used to hear phrases like the forest is receding or the plant life is moved, but in reality the trees didn't move. They stayed right where they were and they died. Yet these ones are very much alive and they're moving. Oh, very interesting. Okay. Now a group of trees separates from the grove and comes towards me. After standing amazed for some time, I finally understand what I'm seeing. These are people. Hundreds of people. They're carrying in huge backpacks shrubs of plants of different sizes and types. They use wooden carts to carry trees, some of them pretty big. Roots emerge from the earth packs and all around the carriers. The people are clad in clothes of gray and brown. You'd swear they'd merged with the plants. Soft filaments stretch out between them, stretching and relaxing with the rhythm of their movements, with the smoothness of a vast living organ. The vision of this human grove isn't much less disturbing than the thought of moving trees, but the small group coming towards me don't seem aggressive. I wait for them to reach me. I head towards them. Maybe just wait for them. You're kind of tired. I save my strength, even though I'm not sure I'm still able to run away if I need to. As they slowly come nearer, I look for their faces amongst the tangles of root and moss. My emotions are mixed when I realized I can't see them. Here they are, in front of me, beyond a few wooden creaks and the rustling of leaves. They're silent. Their forms blend so well with the roots and branches that I'm unable to make out their actual shapes. I watch in silence, or I try to say something. I don't know, maybe just wait? They say nothing. They do nothing. After some searching, I finally see the glimmer of a pupil in the shadow of a thick root. I cling to this gaze, but something remains inscrutable. I shuffle on the spot a little, not knowing what to do. Finally, I sit on the ground, or don't give in to my fatigue and I stand waiting. Oh god, I don't know. Maybe just stand there? The foliage is oddly soothing. Oh, look at them. They're so cute. I even feel as though I can breathe more easily. It's a sensation I'd forgotten. The pain in my leg is more bearable. After an indefinite period, one of them, the one I looked in the eye, gives me a sign, so imperceptible that I wondered if I'd imagined it. Then they all return to the rest of the forest. I decide to follow them. I wait for another sign. Oh no, maybe follow them. They do nothing to stop me or to encourage me. I'm exhausted and I need help. If I've got the least chance of getting anything to heal my leg, or a little water, or even just a little indication of which direction to take, I should seize it. And I admit that the presence of the plants, the rustling of the foliage, gives me a sense of well-being which restores my courage. We reach the outskirts of the strange forest. The bushes, propelled by their carriers, divide to a form of passage to a small clearing. I feel many silent gazes resting on me, but I can't seem to catch any of them. In the middle of the clearing, a majestic tree awaits us. Half a dozen people watch over the tree, which occupies a vast cart filled with earth. Some of the roots are so long that they stretch beyond the vehicle into bags of earth attached to the sides. The cart itself is fairly rudimentary, with two simple, solid wooden wheels, more like an enormous wheelbarrow. The men and women supporting it seems to be its appointed carriers. They all carry on their shoulders or backs bags in which flourish seedlings or small bushes. In the midst of this unlikely troop, balanced on the cart, a woman signals me to come closer. She nods kindly, as a gentle old grandmother might do. The skin of her face is leathery, but her age is not obvious. She exudes good health and compassion. Her hair is full of earth and moss, which doesn't seem to bother her since she beams at me, and I notice that she hasn't many teeth left. Despite the outlandish situation which keeps me on high alert, I can feel my strength abandoning me again. I greet her respectfully, or I ask, trying out several languages, clearly speaking each word, "Who are you?" Maybe greeting respectfully is probably a good option. She continues smiling and nodding, as if I'd done nothing. A huge number of questions comes to my mind at this time, but I'm too exhausted. I can't manage to formulate them, and I collapse. Alright, so now we're on to chapter 5, Camille. What do you think, little shoot? When I come round, I'm lying on a bed of leaves. A middle-aged man is cleaning my wound with some kind of moss sponge, soaked in warm water and giving off a strong smell of thyme. Or thyme? I actually don't know how to pronounce that one, sorry. His craggy face is topped by a small green bush, which spills out of a bag he carries on his shoulder. There are other people around me, but I can't see their faces. With every touch to the wound, an intense shock runs through me, and I almost pass out several times. When it finally stops, I'm drenched in sweat. The man speaks English in a hushed voice. There. It's almost over. He applies a doughy poultice to my leg. I instantly recognize the aroma coming from it. Honey? You've got honey? He laughs, but it's a woman's voice that answers from behind me. So this is bear leek. He took a little from the bees. I don't have the strength to turn around, but the implications of this simple statement leave me stunned. You have bees? Again, it's the other voice that answers me with a sigh. He's a little slow, isn't he, Time? Are you sure he didn't bang his head? She appears in my field of vision. A tall woman with thick red hair. She carries a satchel, a tangle of beautiful slim leaves, and a bunch of white flowers surge out of it. She looks me over with amusement. The healer chuckles again. Don't make fun of the poor man, barely. We don't have bees. A few queens found refuge in the forest. Here, eat this. He gives me 3 little white pods. As I bite into them, I relish the flavor. My taste buds quickly identify the taste, calling on distant memories. Garlic. Then he slips several deliciously scented heads, still attached to their pale green stalks, into my hand. You'll be on your feet tomorrow. They disappear from my view, and I immediately sink into a dreamless sleep. My health improves quickly. The one called Time comes to clean my wound and change my poultice. Bear leek is there too. I notice that they're attached by several long plant fibers, as well as to other tree and plant carriers, as well as the cloves of garlic, which I chew at regular intervals. Time brings me various delicious, nourishing soups and fresh water. When I ask where they found all this, he brushes the question away with a wave of his hand, and tells me that I will soon see the elder again, and that I'll have all the answers I wish for. Sure enough, not long after, I'm taken back to the clearing, to the old woman with the leathery face. She still smiles at me, as if I hadn't moved since the last time. I notice that the dense, bushy tree where she sits is connected to the other plants by countless strands. We're at a kind of knot in the great network that stretches through all the plants of this surprising forest. After watching me in silence from Time, she speaks slowly. The ancient. Welcome to the forest. You wish to speak? I do actually have a lot of questions. With a gesture, she invites me to begin. Oh, okay, we've got quite a few different options. I'm gonna thank for the healing first. You needed it. That's true, but you didn't need to help me. She doesn't answer immediately. Perhaps we did. Why? She shrugs and smiles, saying no more. I'm really impressed by everything you've got here, or how do you manage to grow all this? Let's just go ahead and ask ask because I feel like us being impressed by it is not really gonna faze them. Manage to grow? She laughs and takes her time answering. We'll have to get used to it. She's in no hurry. The forest grows. We've done nothing for that to happen. We're simply grateful. But it must need a lot of upkeep. From who? Well, from you. You look after the trees. But we are the forest. We just take care of ourselves. The explanation seems naive and a little absurd, but I don't want to offend her. I think I understand. Really. Her smile is enigmatic. And so you carry the trees. She nods. And in turn, they carry us. Why? She takes a long, deep breath. The world is changing. It's changing too fast. The forest must adapt. We need to move to find new lands. Lands we're better adapted to. Among us, there are beeches and long-rooted oaks, rubber plants, elms, and willows, all types of hawthorns and fruit trees. There are also some pines that lived further south. We're settling them here. We hope they will thrive. At each stage, some stay, others continue. But the change doesn't stop. So we begin again, and the forest moves again. Okay, so this one returns us back to the options that we had before. I'm honestly just surprised that they said that they had fruit trees. Like, I feel like that seems more surprising than anything. Should we say it's dangerous to stay here? I mean, there is a lot of bad people, but I don't really know if they would find them necessarily. We can try. There are armed, aggressive people in this region. I barely managed to escape them. They range this region and the one south of the mountains. She nods but remains pensive. You shouldn't stay here. They'll come and steal your resources. We have our route and a very strict schedule. We cannot deviate, but aren't you afraid of attacks? She shrugs. Our mission is too important. Nothing can stop it. And if it must, the forest will defend itself. I glance around at the hundreds of pairs of eyes that watch us, the ears that listen to us, and all the branches and the leaves. This is probably the biggest group of humans I've encountered since the start of my journey, and undeniably the most flourishing. I realize that I don't really know their defensive capabilities. I'm looking for my family. Yeah, let's go with that. We were separated a few days ago. I must find them. It's very important. You're right. She takes a deep breath as if to find the right words, but in the end, she simply repeats my own. It's very important. Can you help me? We already have. Yes, thank you, but I mean, can you help me find them? She nods. They are looking for you too. Do you know where they are? They're not far. Not far. Where? I jump to my feet and my injury gives me a painful reminder of the reality of my situation. I have to find them now. It's a bad idea to rush into things. I feel like it is kind of important to find them now. I don't know if that will be good or not. She raises an astonished eyebrow. You have no more questions? Oh, I didn't really think about that. No, not right now. I'd better take it easy actually. Oh, I kind of want to ask more questions if I can. So let's go with I'd better take it easy actually. Are you sure you saw them? Yes, and more importantly, they saw us. How do you know it was my family? A woman dressed in red with a big stick and a young boy with a faraway gaze? Yes, that's definitely Nora and Sam, but how? She smiles but doesn't answer. Do they know I'm here? How should I know? We will soon see. Be patient. There was no one else with them? The silence that follows my question seems even longer than the earlier ones. Her pale gaze silently pierces me. No, there are only those two. Rafik, Naya, Son? What's happened to them? How long until they're here? Soon. We still have a little time to talk if you want. Don't you have other questions? Who are you and where are you going? Yeah, I guess I'm curious about that. Why not? We are the forest. But what is your name? My name is Heldrechi, but I am just called the Elder. She indicates the great plant she shares the cart with as she says this. What are you doing here? Where are you going? We're going east. She interrupts me to finish her phrase. She hadn't finished. I feel a bit guilty cutting her off like that. South. I lift an eyebrow. North. West. You're going everywhere? That's right. She grins at me. Is she making fun of me? Are there other groups like yours? There are several offshoots, but we are one. I feel like we kind of already know this though from the previous stuff she said. I can't help but frown with doubt at this simplistic phrase. Where do you get your water? We have water carriers among us. We draw them from far away. Then the carriers are responsible for watching over the stock during the cycles. And that's enough for the whole forest? She smiles as she shakes her head slowly. The trees themselves find the water they need. How? They show us. Here, for example. Here? She nods. You think there's an underground water source where we are now? Is that right? That's right, because the trees have shown you. I'm skeptical. She strokes her hand over the emerald green needles next to her and repeats. That's right. I don't have any more questions. That's good. Take the time to rest yourself. After this surreal conversation, a few smiling shrubs escort me to the edge of the strange forest. The sky is still overcast. The sharp crests of the surrounding peaks slip like ghosts through the fog. I try to organize my thoughts. What if I'm already dead? I try to get my bearings. Oh, I was kind of wondering if he was dead and that this was kind of like maybe he had become one of the, what would you call it, like afterlife ghosty sorts of things that Sam was able to speak to, but I'm not really sure, honestly. I'm gonna go ahead and ask the question just because I'm kind of curious. Perhaps I'm in some kind of limbo. That would explain the bizarre turn of recent events. Suddenly, two familiar forms emerge from the swirling flying mist. My heart beats stronger and faster. Without me even realizing, my legs are carrying me towards them. Sam, Nora. I can see their shapes more and more clearly, but I don't dare to believe it, because if it turned out I was wrong, if this was nothing more than a cruel fantasy or my tottering mind, a mirage, I couldn't live with that. The smaller shape starts running towards me, but the larger holds him back, and I guess she shares my caution. I wave to them. I shout their names, my loves. When I finally see their faces, the universe shakes and rattles. A tiny yet gigantic sound, the rustling that infinite pieces of a puzzle would make as they all at once found their rightful place in the perpetual movement of everything. Sam, his small hand pressed against my chest. My joy, my whole reason for being, held in this tiny fledgling body. Nora, at last your scent fills my nostrils. We hold each other. We fall down. We laugh. We roll. We cling together. Oh, so sweet. I want more. I need more. It's so simple. Couldn't we just stay like this? Rolling on the ground, living and dying together, here, doing nothing more than breathing each other in. It's so simple. It's enough to do nothing, say nothing, be happy. At last, Sam is the first to say something. Dad? I laugh. I cry, shaken by intense joy. I love you. I love you too, Dad. Tell me, I'm not a ghost, am I? No. Can you see me too, Nora? I see you, Camille. She holds me even tighter. I feel you. You're here. I love you. I'm happy. That's good. Our laughter echoes through the fog-filled valley. If this is an illusion, that's fine. I'll settle for that. The moment is long, paused, rapturous, suspended between now and later, with soothing languor. And then, reality finally intrudes again, and Nora asks me, reluctantly, right, what's going on in this valley? What are all these trees? Oh, yes. Seeing as I'm not a ghost, I'd better try to explain it to you. I'm so happy. I was really scared that we were gonna get a bad ending. But first, tell me, where's Rafik? Or it's a human forest. I am kind of curious as to where Rafik is, so let's go with that. Rafik's fine. He stayed further east in a little village. He's helping refugees get through the mountains with a group of people, good people, in Anaya, so they're fine too. They decide to stay with him. It's easy to picture Rafik taking care of lost, exhausted refugees, giving them back hope. Him, so comforting, with his wide shoulders, his deft hands, his gaze so piercing and deep, and at its depth, gentleness, like a sanctuary, and that quiet certainty that we're equals. Rafik, he has it right there, deep in his eyes. Humanity. That sounds like him. Uncle Rafik's got a friend, has he? Yes, a man who gives food and water to the lost people. Nora gives a grunt of disapproval. We don't really know what that guy's motives are. He's some kind of preacher. He likes to be called father. But I think he's probably a fraud. Rafik's teamed up with a priest. Oh, that kind of father. I was like, that seems awfully specific. Surprising. As you say. But look, they really hit it off. But you didn't? Oh, not really. I wanted to turn back with Sam. We were worried about you. We couldn't stand it. Thank you for coming to find me. Fine. Now, how about you? What's going on here? Trees, plants, but carried by people. I fell in with them by accident. What they do is crazy. The grove, the roots that burst up from the bags and connect the people, the elder, time, and barely. I know I'm a bit muddled. The more I try to explain the events, the more I realize how unreal they seem. By the end, Nora's even more skeptical than I was, but Sam's thrilled. Can we go down and see them? I don't know. I glance at the valley. The forest is still there. I have a hunch. Yes, I think they're waiting for us. Oh, they're so cute. I didn't realize how many kids that there were. That's gonna be great for Sam, actually. The welcome is very different this time. A flock of bushy, budding children come to greet us. They skip and jump around us. The questions come thick and fast. Where are you from? You're strange. Where are your trees? They talk mostly to Sam, who doesn't understand English well. A little girl with as many flowers as hairs on her head asks if he wants to come and play. What did she say, Dad? She asked if you want to play with them. Can I? No, not right now. What do you think, Nora? Yes, but don't go too far. I feel like we should say yes. This is the first time he's probably seen kids in who knows how long. I'm gonna say he should go. Sam follows her, and she spends a few minutes demonstrating with gestures the rules of a clever game, a mix of hide and seek and red light, green light. They laugh a lot. Sam's not used to it. He's completely confused, but clearly happy. I feel like that's probably the right decision. I mean, it probably doesn't matter too much which one you pick there, because on the other hand, I could totally see them not wanting to separate immediately as soon as they got back together. But I feel like it could be good for Camille and Nora to be alone as well, hopefully. As we walk, Nora asks me, do you know where their water supplies are? The elders spoke of water carriers. I think they're right in the heart of the forest. Out of sight. Probably. Do you know if they have livestock? There are bees. And probably other insects. I thought I heard birdsong, but I might have imagined it. Camille, I meant draft or herd animals. Oh, we both laugh at my mistake. She presses herself against me. I put my hand around her waist. I haven't seen any, but it's possible. Anything is possible for these people, I think. What do you think they mean to do about us? Oh, I hadn't really considered that. I just kind of hoped that they let us stay. I think they're just a bunch of oddballs. Maybe they'd want to recruit us. I think we're just a distraction in their path. I hope they want to recruit us. Would you want that? I shrug. Fresh water? Delicious things to eat? Honey? Nora, honey. She smiles faintly. Okay, but we need to see what they want from us in return. If it just involves carrying a plant and watering it occasionally, I think I could live with that. And do you think it will be that simple? Of course not. When we reach the edge of the forest, I see, with surprise, that some kind of feast is being prepared near a crackling fire surrounded by big rocks. Lots of people are busy with what looks like some kind of celebration. The food, exclusively plant-based, is prepared in clay pots or sometimes presented on big leaves on the great flat stone being used as a table. The elder and her tree are there. Still smiling, she gestures us to approach. Well, I think they do actually have something to ask us. Oh, who's that? Our host is talking with another woman whose copious hair mingles with the plant fibers that grow around her in a pale tangle. Bunches of little brown mushrooms grow in the bag she carries on her shoulders. These are the visitors I spoke of, Silo. Are you preparing a feast? Nice to meet you. Oh, sure, let's ask about the feast, I guess. Yes, it's an important celebration. In honor of what exactly? She doesn't answer, but takes Nora by the hand. Despite her first instinct to recoil, Nora accepts this. The elder pats her hand softly, as if to calm her, as she guides her to the stone table. Welcome. Come sit. Rest yourself. She indicates places on the ground to us. Thank you. That's very kind, but it doesn't answer the question. The elder laughs. We're celebrating the installation of some of our oldest friends. You mean you're going to plant some trees here? Absolutely. In particular, the one that I have taken care of since I was a child. Oh, wow. I didn't realize that she had been with this group for so long. She nods at the thick, bushy tree resting on the cart. Her eyes are full of emotion. Should we congratulate you? It must be hard to leave it. Oh, let's go with it must be hard to leave it? Yes, it's true that it's hard. She pats my arm affectionately, as if to make me understand that she appreciates my concern. But deep down, it's a happy event. We will have many shoots for next cycle. Yet her eyes are misty, and she continues to stroke the emerald needles of her tree companion. The mushroom woman takes her in her arms and whispers a few words of encouragement. Did you say shoots? Okay, so this is Silo now. Young growths, spontaneous. A bit like him. She nods at Sam, who's still playing a short distance away with the other children. Are you calling my son a shoot? For us, it simply means that he grew spontaneously, without the forest's help, whether he be human or tree. Nora signals Sam to come back close to us, which she does straight away. I notice she doesn't touch the food until she's seen our hosts eating. Honestly, that's pretty fair considering the whole cannibalism town that we had went through. And it's only after she's tasted it herself that she allows Sam to eat. The elder smiles at Nora. What's your name? Nora. Tell us of yourself. Whoa, how much time have you got? I've got plenty of time, and you don't look so very old. Thanks, that's good to hear. And yet, my life may have been short, but it has certainly been eventful. Isn't that a good thing? Frankly, given the choice, I'd have preferred the events to be rather less eventful occasionally. Where do I start? Any idea, Camille? Nora grew up in the desert. Nora's a master of stick fighting. Oh, I don't actually know what would be better to talk about. It kind of seems like this group is not super interested in fighting unless necessary, so maybe growing up in the desert would be good. It would show them that she has knowledge of different environments slash like difficult places to grow things. But also maybe stick fighting would be good, because if they're not really fighters, then maybe they would need more fighters to defend themselves. I don't know. Maybe we do the desert one. The desert. It's become something else now. A terrifying monster. An unlife. But I remember a time when the desert was alive. A place I loved to live in. We've known some desert cypresses. Nora nods, moved. I recall the cypresses, and the date palms, the boom palms, and the acacias, whose gum I kept as long as I could. And the desert time, the sandbur, the bara or bajra, and the afizu. Afizu? I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing any of these wrong. You still have those? All of them? Maybe not, but time, that's for certain. And also the sandbur, perennial grass with little tufts that stick to everything, right? Yes. Do you have it here? No. In another group, but last time I saw it, it seemed to be thriving. There's a wonder in Nora's smile that speaks of the nostalgia this news inspires in her. Maybe I could come across this other group someday soon. I have to say that's unlikely. Nora's smile freezes, giving her a sudden predatory look. Oh yeah? Silo remains silent as the elder rests her piercing gaze on me. Oh god, things just got a little tense. Still, we'd like to go with you for a while. Isn't it possible for us to join the forest? Tell me why we're really here. Oh, maybe we should go with the first option. I feel like that's the least aggressive, hopefully. Unfortunately, that's impossible. Why? It's not your destiny. How do you know that? The elder makes an elusive gesture. We know it. Anyway, you're too old. Too old? Too old to learn and understand. Is that a joke? You're at least twice my age. Yeah, but she did say that she was with them since she was a child. So I'm guessing that they mean too old to like learn and change slash adapt to their way of life. I grew up in the forest. You didn't. Nora shrugs. Okay, too bad. A long silence follows, as though the whole forest was hanging on that moment. However, here it comes. I feel like I understand where this is going. I think that they probably want Sam, because when the ancient was kind of talking about them as well earlier, how she kind of knew that they were coming, so maybe they were waiting for Sam if they somehow like knew ahead of time, because maybe she didn't like literally see them, but was like seeing them, because like Sam can see ghosts and stuff, so maybe she has some sort of visions type of ability. I don't know. The forest could accept the child within it. Yeah. The child? You mean my son? Yes. He's still young enough. He can learn. Yes, fine. I get it. Silo stifles a giggle. I won't abandon my son. Oh god. Oh no. Nora, can I speak with you for a moment? I agree with Nora, it's out of the question. Oh my god. See, that's so tricky because obviously if all of the stuff that's going on here is real, which it seems like, you know, they're definitely more spiritual and stuff like that, but obviously they've got the trees and they've got the resources, like something is working. And especially if the ancient has been with them since they were a child, then that means that this has probably been going on for way longer than probably like since climate stuff changed, or maybe like at the very beginning. You basically like have the chance to give your son better life if he is able to go with him. But I feel like it would be really nice if they could all stay together, obviously, too. Like, you don't want to split up now either. But I mean, honestly, it should probably be up to Sam, but also Sam is a child. Like, if he was an older child, then maybe it would be a little bit easier to kind of say that he should decide entirely. But I don't know. I feel quite torn about that. Maybe we can do a sidebar with Nora. She nods without consulting our host. She takes mine and Sam's hands and leads us a little away from the gathering. Oh, Sam was here. Oh yeah, because she called him over. I just didn't see him there. Oh, look how happy he is though. It's so cute. We walk through the valley. The buzz of the insects is far away, but still audible. I imagine all those little wings, legs, and mandibles in action, vibrating together to create that music. So comforting to my ears. Did you know that the temperature at the heart of a hive is perfectly controlled by bees? Nora can't help laughing. No, but are you sure this is the right time to talk about that, Camille? Sam looks at me, fascinated. Listen, when it's too cold, they gather in a hive in a tight mass, and they vibrate their wings to speed up their metabolism and generate heat. When it's too hot, they ventilate the hive with their wings again, but by putting themselves spaced out near the entrance. Do you read that somewhere? Not at all. I saw it in Dad's hives. It was amazing. That's totally crazy. She rests her head on my shoulder. We stay that way for several minutes. The meal we'd had this evening was unexpected. We hadn't eaten our fill in a long time. Digestion allows me to feel the love better. I know, it's strange to say. At first glance, we wouldn't accept that emotions as pure as love could depend on our digestive system, and yet I know that the feeling of satiation releases a sense of well-being in me, which lights up the night, opens up a sharp conscience of the moment, the poetry, and all that follows. All that doesn't work when you're dying of hunger. Nora and Sam feel it too, of course, soothed, open to reflection and consideration. Sam moves away a little, marveling at the fireflies that have started to glow. I think we should seize this opportunity for Sam. Oh no. Or I have doubts, Nora. I do kind of feel like we should give Sam this opportunity. I think my concern is that it's like, how long could this group actually stay safe with what they're doing? But obviously the ancient is ancient, right? So they have managed to stay safe. It's kind of like proof in itself, I guess, but I don't really know. And they just got back together. I think I'm gonna pick the first option though. I know. Do you agree? Not at all, but I know you think so, and I know you're wrong too. Her response plucks a laugh from me. I love that unsettling way of hers of addressing problems. Yeah, she's very blunt. Can you tell me why? Look, let's say Sam does do a stretch of road with them. Okay, you said yourself, their situation is fragile. You think, just as I do, that it won't last eternally. Probably not even a very long time. Yes. Well then, I prefer Sam to stay with us. I feel like I don't remember when Camille said that they wouldn't last a very long time. I mean, I know I just said it right now, but I don't think Camille did. I don't know, whatever. We haven't got much flexibility, but at least we can decide our own fate. If he left with them and they got attacked and massacred tomorrow, what would become of our son? I see. But don't you think they've got a better chance of making it than we do? I don't know, Camille, and neither do you for that matter. Which should I believe, huh? I don't know these people, but I do believe in you, in us, and our ability to protect Sam. I've got no answer to that. I kind of feel like they do have a better chance of survival a little bit. They've got water and food. There are lots of them, and I think they have the ability to defend themselves. We're no match, us two. If we truly want to give Sam the best chance, he should stay with this forest. She sighs. It might be irrational, but that's not how I feel. Alright, Nora, trust me, this is best for Sam. I don't know. I don't want them to split up. Why can't we talk to Sam about this? Why are we deciding this without him? That's what I want to know. Alright, I'm gonna agree with Nora. I don't know. I believe in us too. I hold my family to me, and I feel invincible. We go back to the stone. The elder and the rest of the forest are waiting for us. I take a deep breath before I speak. We've both agreed. Nora and I look at each other. Yes. All three of you? Him too? That's what I'm saying. Get his input, please. Her gaze rests on Sam. He studies his feet. We've decided for our son. Oh, why? Because he's not big enough to decide. What's size got to do with anything? I mean, he's not old enough. He seems old enough to have an opinion. What do you think, little shoot? Oh, very interesting. Sam looks up, and his eyes, so big, so dark, bore through the elder and all of the forest, driving these people watching him to silence, breathless. I hadn't noticed how strong he'd become. Sam, my child, my baby. How could I have missed that? It's nice here, and I'd like to play with the other children, and I think I saw a bird earlier too. Oh, so the bird song was real. That's pretty impressive. The elder smiles and nods in encouragement. I'd like to stay. Me, Dad, and Mom. We could help you save the trees. Mom knows a lot about trees. That's impossible, my boy. They can't come. Only you. Well then, I'll stay with them. Never mind the birds. Oh, so we're actually leaving then? Sam takes my hand and Nora's. My heart is bursting. I'm so proud and a little sad at the same time. The elder sighs, but her gaze is gentle. Oh well, so be it. Eat your fill, drink all you need this evening. We'll leave you some supplies before we go, but don't try to follow us. We'd be obliged to drive you away. You understand? Thank you for your help. I say nothing. I mean, they did still help us, and we are united again. I'm really surprised that they didn't, like, I don't know, like maybe I was kind of hoping that he would want to stay and they would say yes because of that. I'm not sure if it's because of some of the options that I chose, like right now, or if it's maybe more so an accumulation of things that I've chosen along the way. But I mean, at least we get to stay together. I just feel like Sam's happy proper ending was probably with them and with us, but I don't know. Okay, let's just thank them. Tell me, where will you go next? Nori and Sam turn to me. North. We're gonna try to find lands more fit to live in. There may be other survivors. She nods warily. Be careful what you wish for. Oh no. Okay, so Epilogue, Sam. We'll go see the end of the lines. Wow. Title drop. There have been farewells for the trees planted here. After that, the forest left. It set off slowly, like a great heavy boulder, all its feet starting to walk, making a noise like thunder. The trees with all their branches and leaves, and the carts too. The dust and the ash flew up everywhere and stayed floating in the air in front of our eyes. Just like that, the forest was gone. We stayed, Dad, Mom, and me, watching for a long time as it went away. There were lots of animals behind the forest. Oh, they're like ghostly animals. That's interesting. So maybe they used to have animals with them, but maybe they didn't survive. Big ones with little feet and horns on their mouths. Ones that looked like big goats that jumped so high. Some with huge horns shaped like trees. Birds, cats, even wolves. They ran after the trees as if afraid of being left behind. But they had already been left behind long before. They didn't exist anymore, even though I could still see them. I almost cried for all those beautiful creatures that jumped past us. I almost cried because I know they're dead. They won't come back. It's sad because it's so beautiful, like Mom when she dances. But Mom doesn't dance much now. And that makes me even more sad. So I hugged Dad. He ruffled my hair with his big hands, and I felt better. Dad and his big hands, they take the sadness away. We get our things. My bag's heavy, but not as heavy as the others. And then we leave, just us three, to the north. That's what Dad and Mom said. Me, I don't know what's in the north, but I know where it is. Dad told me. I find where the sun comes up. I put my right hand there, and I look straight forward, and that's the north. Sometimes it's harder when we can't see the sun properly, or we don't know if it's morning or afternoon, and sometimes it's night. But Dad, he always knows. We walked fast to start with. It was easy. We'd eaten lots, so we were feeling strong. As soon as I was thirsty, Mom let me drink, but I still tried not to drink too much. Mom always knows what to do. Oh, I'm gonna try to ration the water. I don't know if it really matters at this point because we're in the epilogue, but I feel like maybe at this point Sam will probably have learned a bit more, and knowing that he would need to ration a little. I don't know. Let's do that because it's hard later when you're thirsty and there's no more water. Yeah, he knows. He knows. It's really hard. I know that. Anyway, we walked. At the start, there were little paths and broken up roads. It started to get really hot again. We met people. It was crazy, like Dad said. People lived there with almost nothing in the ruins of villages. They weren't mean, but they weren't very nice either. They tried to live together, but it wasn't easy. We tried to help them a bit. We didn't stay long. Yeah, sure. Why don't we try and stay a bit? It's kind of weird. I feel like they almost shouldn't have left when the forest went away. I feel like you could have just put up house right beside the trees that were planted, you know? It's like a guaranteed long haul that it would be better there. But I know that the whole area was supposedly like not safe and things like this as well, and I don't know. Maybe the forest wouldn't have let them stay. Okay, let's choose to stay a bit. I even had some friends for a while. I went to school with the other children for a bit. Oh really, they're still holding school. It's interesting. Dad and Mom worked in the dry fields, and they tried to fix the broken windmills too, but it didn't work. So we ended up leaving again, and we kept on walking. And then one day, Dad died. He got sick. I don't know why. We rested for weeks. Mom tried to take care of him. Me too. I tried, but he didn't get better, and he died. I was so sad. Before he died, Dad put his big hands through my hair one last time, but this time, it didn't take away the sadness. Oh my god. That's... I feel like it's kind of inevitable, right? Obviously, but it's just after going through the entire game with Camille, or like as Camille, I guess, it just feels like, I don't know, he survived so much, he got through so much, and then just to die because of who knows why feels kind of bad, or like worse than if it was like a solid reason, I guess. But maybe there was a solid reason and Sam's just too young to understand. I don't know. Nothing will take away the sadness now. It will always be there in my chest. Mom was very sad too. I held her hand so we could be sad together. It's easier to be sad together than alone. I know that too. The years passed. Mom's kind of old now. We live in a big gray metal and stone block in a place where it rains a lot. Oh, that's good. Fresh rainwater. Hopefully it would be drinkable. I mean, I imagine so, but with all the pollution and stuff, would it be at that point? I don't know. There's water everywhere. Mostly there's lots of mud, and sometimes there's even bits of houses floating in it. Lots of people have died because of the water. Oh, well, there's there's your answer. So maybe that's why Camille also died. Maybe the water wasn't safe enough to drink. Because I imagine at that point they probably would have figured out some way to filter it, but maybe they didn't know at first, or maybe it wasn't super effective. I'm not sure. I see them. They wander amongst the rubble as if they were looking for something important, but they don't know what it is. To start with, I thought having water was a good thing. We've had so little water, but here there's too much water. Everything's wet all the time. When you build a wall, it collapses, and we can't grow much either. Everything slips, and there's storms all the time that destroy everything. Oh god. I feel like we got a bad ending or something, man. Some people still try to live here, and most important, there's the coal. I dig every day. The overseers always want more coal. Who are the overseers? It doesn't pay much, but I can buy a little to eat for me and Mom. The two of us live in kind of a cellar. It's a bit dark, but it's not so bad, and we're the lucky ones. I've got a friend called Amaric. He lives with his 4 brothers and 2 sisters, and their home is no bigger than ours. But Amaric doesn't complain. I like him a lot. He's a big boy and really strong, and kind as anything. Reminds me of Rafiq. I wonder why we wouldn't have tried to go back and meet with Rafiq and Anaya and So and stuff, or maybe they weren't there anymore. But I kind of felt like as soon as we left the forest type of thing, we could have maybe tried to go there, because at least it seemed like they were fine in terms of resources or like safety or something like that. Oh yeah, exactly what I said. He reminds me of Uncle Rafiq. Sometimes I think about leaving, going far from the mines and the coal, but I can't leave Mom. An old wound which didn't heal right stops her walking. She's a desert warrior, my mother, and I'm proud to be her son. Oh, he swapped to my mother instead of saying like mommy. So we must be much older now. I mean, he did say that like the years had passed or something, right? I wonder how much older. Oh my god, is that Sam? Much older, actually. Oh my god, and Nora, look how hunched over she is. Look. Oh god, it's so much time has passed. I mean, I know they said that, I just didn't realize, I guess, how much. I'm proud to be her son. Except one day, she kicked me out. She said, leave. You have to leave this place. But right now? What? That's it? But right now. I know there's no talking to her when she's like that. I mean, you could certainly try. If you're gonna leave, you might as well give it a go. Oh, this is really not the turn that I was expecting. So I go to work without saying a word. But when I get back in the evening, she hasn't changed her mind. What are you still doing here? But Mom, I can't leave you. God, even the portrait is so different. How old are we? Of course you can. You must. Go on. Scram. She pushes me outside. Oh my god. Yeah, I forgot about the ghosty thing. Jesus Christ. I feel a hand on my shoulder. I turn. It's Dad. It's strange seeing him. She's right, my angel. He mustn't stay here. Oh my god. He's got a ghosty portrait and everything. What is going on? But Mom doesn't see him. She throws me a bag. It hits me in the chest. I mean, we know that Nora doesn't see it, but like, does she know? Is this the first time? Or maybe not? I don't know. Here's your things. Go on. Get going. I look in the bag. Where should I go? I don't know. Where should I go? Anywhere except here. You'll find out. She looks at me. I can tell she's trying not to show how sad she is, but I can see it on her face and in her eyes, and she sees that I see. And she says, I love you. No. Sam and Camille and Unison, I love you. And she slams the door. What is happening? I don't know how to feel right now, man. This is like... What the hell? Okay, so like maybe Nora knows that something is about to go down, or maybe Nora knows that she's sick and is like gonna die or something like that. I mean, I know Nora was very like blunt and to the point and kind of abrasive at times, but she was always pretty soft when it came to Sam. I mean, obviously he's much older now, but like okay, it's fine. So we go, Dad and I. He looks lost, like all the others. They're always lost, the dead people. Sometimes they don't even hear me. Sometimes they think they hear me. You took your time. Time? It's a pity. Mom would have liked you to come sooner. Oh, so maybe it is the first time he's come and visited. I was lost. I sigh. Sam, are you lost too? Where are you going? I don't really have a choice. There's nothing but sea to the north, and they built a wall to the east. He looks at me without saying anything. I don't know what's behind the wall. They say there are rich people. Anyway, all the coal goes that way. The wall. If you really want to get past it, it's possible. Yes, we can try. No, the west is good. Oh. Where was Rafiq supposed to be? I don't remember what direction they said he was in. Would that be maybe the town or like people he was with? I don't know where it's in the west though. Is that where the forest was going? No, the forest just said they were going everywhere, didn't they? Because like maybe he could go and meet up with them now. No, but maybe he's too old now because they wanted him to grow up with them. I don't know, man. I feel like anybody who builds a wall, I don't know. I mean, it's probably just for protection fiction, but like, and what does rich people mean? Like in this sort of environment and everything like that. And all the coal goes that way. Yeah, let's go west. It's fine. Let's go west. I don't trust it. No, the west is good. Screw their wall and their coal. Hell yeah, Sam. Oh, okay. So this is the friend, Emerick. Hi, Sam. Talking to yourself again? Emerick's perched on a ruin, smiling at me. He knows I see ghosts, but it always seems to amuse him. Hi. I was talking to my father. Say hey for me. I don't know if he believes me or if he's making fun, but he always does it kindly. So, you're leaving then? I'm kind of sad. I told Emerick that Mum wanted me to leave this morning, but I didn't think she'd kick me out the same evening. Yes, Mum kicked me out. Don't sweat it, Sam. Anyway, we knew you'd be leaving someday or other. Did you? Well, yeah. You're not cut out for staying here. What about you? Don't you want to leave too? Yeah, come with us. He sighs. I'd like that, but you know I can't. I don't know what to say. I understand. Emerick's got both his parents and his brothers and sisters to take care of too. But I've thought about it, you know. You could do something for me. Oh? You're a good guy, Sam. And if half of what you've told me is true, a funny old traveling bird. He pauses, proud of his speech. I don't know why he says that, because we haven't seen any birds, not us. I let him continue. So I wanted to ask you, will you take Liam and Pris with you? Liam, his little brother. He's still young. He's just started working in the mine. And Pris is his sister. She's a little older than Liam. I don't know. Why not? It would be really nice of us too, so that like really young children aren't having to work in the mine like that, because it's quite dangerous. But why can't Emerick come with us too then, you know? Well, I guess he's still got his parents. Why don't we all just leave together? I guess we don't really know the parents' health conditions, and like they're probably getting older as well. Yeah, okay, fine. Why not? They've never traveled far, but you could show them. You know, there's nothing here for them anyway. His gaze sweeps over the gray block that houses us and the muddy holes that surround it. Nothing but shit and tears, as my old man says. I look at Dad. He nods his head and puts his hand on my shoulder. Dad agrees. I'll take them. Emerick seems relieved and grateful. Thanks, Sam. I'll get their things ready. What should I get? Sturdy shoes, socks, and something to repair the socks. Water and bread, as much as possible, and changes of clothes wrapped in waterproof cover. Okay, I'll wait for you by the old railway. Near the strange rocks, you know. Alright, I'll go get them. Be there soon. When Liam and Pris arrive, it's morning, and it's really time to leave if we don't want to run into an overseer. Emerick tells us goodbye. He gives Pris some instructions to take care of Liam. They're heartsore, as am I. I'm sad, but we set off anyway, because it's really time. Oh my gosh, they are very tiny. I feel like Liam is the size that Sam used to be. So strange. Oh my god. Okay. We follow the train tracks. It feels good to walk. I feel like everything's not so bad when I walk. And Dad walks along with us. It reminds me of when the four of us walked. Me, Dad, Mom, and Uncle Rafik. After a while, Liam takes my hand. I'm a bit surprised, but I let him. He must miss his big brother a lot. Pris joins us, walking close to me. I like Pris. She's a great girl. Will we follow the lines all the way? To tell the truth, I don't know yet. But what's at the other end? You mean at the other end of the train tracks? Yes. What do you think is there? I don't know. The end? Maybe. Would you like that? To see the end? Yes, I think so. Oh god. Well, let's go. We'll go see the end of the lines. Oh, that was it. That was so sweet. I feel like we kind of got the bad ending. I mean, it's good because Sam's alive and you can see that he's gotten older. But obviously Camille died and Nora is probably gonna die of old age because Sam was the one working to get food for her to survive. So it's like... kind of bittersweet, but I guess that's kind of what this whole game is all about. Achievement unlocked, north. We can also see our choices, I guess, so this is because we were primarily picking Camille, I suppose, or maybe like past a certain point. Oh, achievement unlocked all the way. The Spanish Inn through the swarm. Okay, so you can kind of see all of the different options. There's quite a few different selections that you can actually have. Alright guys, that is it for End of Lines. If you liked watching onto more story or cozy games, I'll be sure to link any relevant playlists down below in the description box, and my social links will be down there as well. So this game ended up being a lot different than I was originally anticipating. It took a lot of different twists and turns. Kind of thought it was going to be like a medium, short-ish sort of like cozy visual novel, but it ended up getting quite serious and kind of grim at some parts, as well as kind of swaying between different sorts of viewpoints, I guess. Like it kind of started out being a little bit more scientific or throwing out random facts and stuff like that, and then it kind of leaned a little bit more neutral, and then at the end it kind of got a little bit spiritual. Obviously the ending that we got ended up being kind of a strange amalgamation of all of those things, probably just based off of the different sorts of choices and like dialogue things that we were picking and stuff like that. I did really enjoy the visuals. The artwork was just really beautiful, obviously, but I did also really enjoy the soundtrack. I feel like it definitely added a whole lot in certain areas. I am very curious about the other endings, so I'll probably go and try and grab some of those on my own time. But yes, anyways, that is gonna be it for me tonight though, so thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. As always, of course, don't forget to subscribe to me here on YouTube and give it a thumbs up if you're liking it. It helps me a lot. But otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, goodbye.